Welcome to Jimmy V Week on ESPN as we continue our commitment to the V Foundation for Cancer Research in tribute to Jim Valvano and his dream to defeat cancer. It's ESPN College Football presented by Cars.com. And today, the Tulsa Golden Hurricanes take on the UCF Knights, a Conference USA Championship game presented by Bright House Networks. And we are in Orlando at the Bright House Networks Stadium with Andre Ware and Aaron Andrews. I'm Dave Lamont. Kickoff this close, Andre, to this championship game. And, you know, the name Smith is such a common one around the country, but today you're going to see some uncommon talent with that name.
Yeah, we're going to get to call the name Kevin Smith a lot, as well as Paul Smith, two guys that get it done in totally different ways. Kevin Smith, a junior running back, has gone over 100 yards, 11 of 12 games. Paul Smith, senior quarterback, who does it through the air, 300 yards in all 12 games passing for the Golden Hurricanes. Once chasing Tim Tebow, are actually tied with Tim Tebow for touchdowns in the season. One chasing Barry Sanders, the single season rushing record of 26-28 on the ground. They'll get it done in different ways, but boy, both will be effective in this ball game.
And it's Florida. It's December 1st, so of course it's just about 80 degrees and humid outside. What a difference for the folks from Tulsa who came to the middle of the state. About 27 degrees they left behind in Oklahoma, so it's going to be an interesting change for them, but they're confident their conditioning from the preseason will hold up well on a humid December afternoon. So we're going to get a look at Kevin Smith first as UCF has won the toss.
Well, an outstanding story. It's just, you know, basically shined all season long for UCF. The guy leads the country in rushing, only the 13th player in Division I football to go over 2,000 yards.
And his nickname, 24K, and some speculation about whether or not he'll even come back for a senior season here.
Yeah, that's a big topic around here. I think if he is definitely going to go in the first round, that's an option that he'll certainly take a look at. If not, he's basically saying all the right things, and they lead to Kevin Smith coming back to UCF.
For the second time in 3 years, these teams meeting for the Conference USA title game in Orlando. And good coverage that time. Williams on the kickoff, and let's go down to the field and join Aaron Andrews. Very loud down there, isn't it?
It certainly is, and that's something Tulsa head coach Todd Graham said this team certainly wasn't prepared for in their first meeting with UCF in October. He said, we did not anticipate such a crazy and loud atmosphere. Now, the reason why, these stands here at Bright House Network Stadium, they're all steel, so the sound ricochets off, and it just gets louder and louder. The plan on offense, Dave, everything is a silent count today.
All right, Aaron, thank you much. UCF in those light gold uniforms with the football first. And get used to this because Kevin Smith carries the ball a lot. And he picks up about 6. Sims shoves him out of bounds. And he's carried the ball, I mean, more than guys, I don't think anybody in the country.
Well, what I like about it is you carry it a bunch, but the 5.8 yards per carry is what you like because you know he's going to pick up positive yards. Rarely does he get stopped in the backfield.
Got 5 on the opening play of the game. That's Aiken in motion. And Tulsa tried to bring the heat. They go down to the motion man, and it's going to be incomplete. A late blitz by Tulsa, but nicely picked up as we meet the UCF offensive starters, and we turn to Oakland Raider and a former Knight, Dante Culpepper.
Even at noon, nighttime is the right time in O-Town. You have to start with Kevin Smith, the nation's leading rusher. If he comes back next year, he will win the Heisman. Load up in the box against us, we will hit you up top with Rocky Ross. In the trenches, there's another Mr. Smith, one of 3 all-conference bulldozers, leading the way of our prolific ground game.
And Kyle Smith making his 45th straight start for the Knights. Blitz from the edge and a sack. Karatapian was the blitzer from the edge, and he was in there along with Clinkscale and Coleman. And 3 and out on the first series for UCF.
Well, they go the 3-3 look, but they like to bring Alan Karatapian off the edge. You're going to see him come right off the edge here, untouched, to try to pick him up late with a running back, but it's just a little bit too late. Nelson Coleman in there helping out as well.
Karatapian now 6.5 sacks, Coleman 2.5, short punt, and excellent field position for the #1 ranked offense in the NCAA for Tulsa. We meet their offense with a former Golden Hurricane wide receiver and an NFL Hall of Famer, Steve Largent.
I like this Golden Hurricane offense. They're versatile, and they've got the ways and means to dictate policy. At quarterback, Paul Smith is a touchdown maker and a record breaker. It's helpful with receivers like Brennan Marion hauling down an unheard-of 35 yards a catch. Running back Terrian Adams is a strong option on the ground after a 1,000-yard season. Up front, it's the right side of the line that's got the elephants in the room, with guard Justin Morsey and 350-pound tackle Roderick Thomas throwing their weight around.
But the first handoff goes instead of the freshman Jamad Williams in Midwest City, Oklahoma. Corey Hogue on the stop for UCF. Only picked up a yard. We do expect to see Tulsa pitch it around all over the field, though.
Yeah, they've got some talented young players in this offense. Paul Smith, the leader at quarterback, a senior.
First completion, that's Brennan Marion, and that for him is a short gain.
Yeah.
It's only 9 yards. He averages almost 36 yards a catch.
You know, when I was doing notes and putting the board together for this game, I started writing that in, 32 receptions, 1,148 yards. I started doing the math. I'm like, wait a minute, that's got to be wrong. I had to go back and turn back into the notes again. Yeah, that's correct, right there. 35.9 yards per reception. It's Elmo Wright, one of University of Houston's owns the record right now, 27.9, but he's got a chance to set it in this ball game.
And flags will stop everything as we'll get to meet our referee, Ed Ardito, for the first time. And I'm wondering already if the noise is affecting Tulsa.
Already. Get guys jumping. That's what, when you talk to George O'Leary, they wanted to make Tulsa start from behind the down and distance markers, create some long yardage situations.
You can see the picture because we're looking at the same thing the folks at home are looking at, and it's jumping because the stadium is jumping.
Yeah.
Hit as he throws. Excellent pressure that time for the Knights. And getting in there is Darius Nall.
But Darius Nall just going to fight from the outside and get to Paul Smith. They leave Paul Smith in. He actually averages about 40 yards punting the football. So when they want to drop it inside the 20-yard line, he's the guy that's going to stay on the field for Tulsa and punt the football.
He's had 13 punts, and 9 of them have gone inside the 20. Joe Burnett, the junior from Eustis, first team All-Conference USA punt returner. And this one, not one of his best. That won't go on the resume from the NFL scout.
Not a good one.
He just basically hooked it left, and so UCF will get excellent field position. So, surprisingly, no points in a game we expected was going to be explosive. We'll see how the Knights respond when we return. This telecast is available on ESPN HD, presented by Pioneer Kuro HD TV in Orlando. On the UCF campus, surprisingly, Andre, no score. Yeah. We figured we would see a lot of points. Both these teams go 3 and out of their first possessions. He's Andre Ware. I'm Dave Lamont. Thank you very much for joining us. It is the tradition among this group. It's time for Hardware Software.
For the Andre Ware Hardware. The hardware is going to be Kevin Smith and that big offensive line of UCF. I'll tell you what, they returned 4 of 5 starters. Kevin Smith chasing Barry Sanders. He is a guy may carry it 40-plus times in this game.
And the field position set up by the Paul Smith 13-yard punt, and a hole popped open for Smith, and a saving tackle that time for Tulsa by Steve Craver.
Well, we talked about the hardware. It's Kevin Smith, a guy that has had a tremendous season, over 2,000 yards. The big offensive line, they've now made 100 combined career starts among the 5 of them. The software side of it, it's Paul Smith and Gus Malzahn, the mad scientist. Paul Smith, he's going to break every single passing record at Tulsa University.
Starting to see a lot of blitzing, I noticed, from Tulsa. And Smith wiggled through, short of the first down, bring up 3rd down, and Short Coleman sat on him there at the end. Also, Chris Chamberlain, the top tackler for TU, in there.
But Kevin Smith, you can't drop your guard if you're Tulsa defensively, because he'll just keep hammering away. He'll take those 2- and 3-yard runs, and then all of a sudden you see him sprinting down the field on a 15, 20-yard breakaway. He is a patient runner. He has learned that over time.
Looking for the first down of the game, and we'll get it with Smith down the sidelines. may have stepped out of bounds. He did. He stepped out of bounds. They have him at in between the 14 and 15-yard lines. There you see the linesman right on that. Even I saw that from up here. Sims and Roberts were chasing him. 36 yards.
Well, good job by the line judge of picking that up. But check out the blocking here for Kevin Smith. Nice little kick-out block right there to seal it. And now it's just pure speed and athletic ability. The Kenny D. Sims had an angle on Kevin Smith, and you'll see him step out right about. Boy, that's close.
Yeah, he did it.
That is close.
I think he did it, man. They're going to snap it.
No argument from UCF.
Smith again. A couple of yards that time.
Well,
looks like Hopkins got it low.
Yeah, he's a guy that you really don't hear about him, and he's just kind of gone about his business in a quiet way. And you look up, and he's over 2,100 yards on the season with a chance with 2 games left, or this game as well as a bowl game, to give chase to Barry Sanders and the all-time single-season rushing record. There's Mom, proud mom. But she's about as nervous as young Kevin on the field.
It's way, way tougher on the parents than anybody. A couple more for Smith that time. Now let's go ahead and meet the Tulsa defense. Once again, let's turn to the former great Golden Hurricane and former Congressman Steve Larson.
On the Tulsa defensive line, nose guard Brandon Jones is strong in the middle, but he's not a monster. The outside linebackers Chris Chamberlain and Alan Karatapian fire off the edges and are real hawks to the ball. In the secondary, Steve Craver is a 6'2", 212-pound Kenny Easley type that all receivers better keep their eye on before they go over the middle.
Second pass for Israel, and I'm not sure if it would have been a first down had it even been caught by Kamar Aiken, the freshman out of Hollywood, Florida, to the south of Orlando. It'll bring on the field goal team.
Boy, Israel's a guy who started the year, first year as a starter, 3-3 out of the gate, was only a 53% passer, and then the last 6 games really got hot, 6-0 in his last 6 games, and he was completing at about 69%. So he had a tremendous turnaround after the first 6 weeks of the season.
See the number on Torres, he's made 12 in a row. And make it 13. So UCF is on the board first. Now the #1 offense in the country gets the ball back. We'll see how they react when we return. The Conference USA Championship game.
ESPN's college football is presented by Cars.com. Find the right car for you. Cars.com. And in part by Clean Exchange, the only electric saver with a disposable head. Clean Exchange, new from Remington. And Alltel Wireless. Take the head-to-head challenge at alltelcircle.com.
Kevin Smith on his way perhaps to a profitable career in the NFL. Some are concerned in Orlando it may happen a year early, but he's going to sit down with a guy who knows certainly his way around the NFL in George O'Leary.
Yeah, he's certainly got a lot of options and a lot of things to think about, and it's a good decision. It's a good problem to have, Dave.
O'Leary spent some time in the league with the Minnesota Vikings before he came to UCF. This will be Roy Roberts on the short kickoff, and a hole popped up on the sideline just briefly, and he gets it out to the 39-yard line. Tackle made by Blake Carter. Now let's meet the UCF defense. Former Knight and AFC Defensive Player of the Week for the undefeated New England Patriots. Here's Asante Samuel.
All right, let's start with Fierce D. At 295 pounds, at end, we got Lige Duzable. At Mike linebacker, we got Chance Henderson. And my man in the secondary, we got pick master, Joe Burnett.
Yeah, Joe Burnett is a pick master. I tell you what, he's come up with 5 turnovers in the last 4 games, 4 interceptions and a fumble recovery. He makes it happen on the outside.
We're on the ground this time with Adams, and the UCF defense smothering him for a loss of a couple of yards. Duzable in there, number 91. One of the many first-teamers on both these squads you're going to see from Conference USA. It's ironic. Tulsa known for their fast ability to score. A bunch, I think it's 12 scoring drives under a minute, 5 under 30 seconds. Their first possession was 39 seconds, but only 3 plays they had to punt.
You know, if you're Paul Smith and this Tulsa offense, you're going to see a lot of guys in the box, some man-to-man coverage until you prove that you can beat it.
That time they used Adams as a blocker, and he'll get the first down as he spun off of the block, and Chance Henderson kept that from being a major gain. Well, both these teams come in here hot, Andre. Tulsa's won 5 in a row, and their offense in the last 4 is just ridiculous.
Yeah, look at the scoring in the last 4 games, over just under 600 yards of total offense in just the last 4 games. They started hitting about 5 games ago on all cylinders, and it has just been at the mercy of their opponents.
On the other hand, UCF has forced 19 turnovers during their 6-game win streak. Wide open and in and out. Oh, I can't believe that Charles Clay, the fullback, who has good hands normally, freshman from Little Rock.
Well, this one was just kind of overshot. You get caught in zone coverage, peeking back inside. Paul Smith takes a nice little semi-roll to his left. It gets the corner's attention and away from Charles Clay. He was wide open behind the defender, Janelle Neal, the corner to that side, and it was 6 points if you just float him one that he could catch. We hear a lot of good things about this senior quarterback, Paul Smith.
Accurate on that throw. Gets it out to Jesse Meyer, a sophomore from Jenks, Oklahoma. Meyer's 34th catch on the year. Now, these teams have played before in this stadium, and UCF really dominated the second half in order to win.
Well, Tulsa came out. They turned the football over 5 times in that ball game, and Paul Smith, 4 interceptions in the second half. That was a career high for him. If you're doing that with this type of offense, you put yourself behind the 8 ball. It is tough to beat anybody.
Todd Graham told us before the game he wants to play from ahead if he can, and that's only a 3-point deficit. Flags are down and a little bit high on the pass. A couple of those have sailed, and this penalty is going to go against Tulsa. Whitmore, very promising freshman, was the intended receiver.
He's played in every game this year.
False start
here.
On the offense, number 53. It's a 5-yard penalty, and it still remains 3rd down.
Let's get down to the field and Aaron Andrews.
Talking about that last game that Tulsa played here at UCF in October, Paul Smith threw for a career-high 4 interceptions. Over here on the sidelines when the defense was out for Tulsa, Todd Graham walking over to his quarterback and saying, relax, just relax, because Smith has said in the paper all week long, I need to redeem myself here in Orlando because of what happened last year.
He seems a little bit out of sync right now, sailing some balls high, and you get the old adrenaline flowing. You got to settle yourself back in, calm yourself. I think some easy throws right here, Dave, but it's 3rd down. He's got to complete a big one.
Under a lot of pressure and thrown down. The sack by Bruce Miller, his 7th sack on the season. And in a game we expected a lot of points so far, it's been the UCF defense that has been stern.
Well, he just comes untouched from the left side of the formation. 2nd team All-Conference USA this year. He moved to defensive end from linebacker. Just going to come in the screen from right around here. You'll see him just kind of show up untouched. He gets right to Paul Smith trying to set up what looked like a screen pass, and it did not fool Bruce Miller.
Such the regular punter for Tulsa will come in. Smith's first punt was not a very good one. And this will be Burnett, who is the pick master and also the punt returner, and he breaks loose. Got a key block. And it's going to be a touchdown for UCF. No flag. .83 yards for Burnett. And a couple of missed tackles at the top. Andre, they had him early, and once he broke the containment around the 20-yard line, he was gone.
Yeah, he was actually directing traffic, and he's been Conference USA first team all in the punt return department 2 years in a row. The guy has just a knack for doing it. We talked about him being the pick master on the outside. He has 6 interceptions. That is tops in Conference USA.
And meantime, down behind the play, that's Nelson Coleman, the all-time leading tackler for the Golden Hurricane.
Yeah, they can't afford to have him injured.
Well, wasn't he the player that they were blocking, and when he was directing traffic? I think it was Coleman they were trying to block, or he was just a couple of yards down away from that area.
Yeah, Burnett picked up several excellent blocks once he came out of the heavy traffic area, and then it was off to the races. He outsprints one Hurricane to the end zone, but I'll tell you, he's got to give it up for some teammates that threw some nice blocks down in front of him.
Torres chipped in the extra point, and a big start for the home team trying to win their first conference championship, the Knights of UCF.
Well, you watch Joe Burnett here just taking the football and watch him break tackles, make a guy miss, spin out of one. Now, it's all athletic ability at this point. Now he's directing traffic, and he's going to pick up some nice block right there along the way, and now it's just a foot race to the end zone.
That was Waters, the receiver, number 6.
Yeah, he outruns John Warren, a safety that's trying to track him down from inside, but you see him directing traffic right there. Nice block on the outside, and now it's just the speed of Joe Burnett, and into the end zone. A nice 10-0 lead for the Knights of UCF.
And a good job by the blocking team to keep their poise. You know, sometimes they get in the open field like that, they make a mistake, they block a guy in the back and ruin the whole thing, and they held off that time.
Well, you did, and you know what? The punt returner can do you a favor as well. If he's patient and he allows you to set up a block instead of trying to outrun everybody, you think, oh, it's a speed part of the game, and you just outspeed everybody. I'll tell you what, Joe Burnett has a knack for punt returns. He's first team Conference USA, All-Conference USA again, and that's one of the reasons why we got a chance to see it up close and personal.
And you get an idea of the motion of the stadium, and as Aaron told you at the top of the show, it's metal, it's steel. So it's going to move a little bit, and it's going to really echo and reverb. And you can see it's a new facility, of course, opened this year. Doesn't have a big old roof over it. It's just an open bowl. And that kickoff speaks for itself, so Tulsa will get some pretty good field position out of this. As we go ahead and throw it over to Bristol and our friend Reese Davis.
All right, Dave, Taco Bell studio update. The Mid-American Conference Championship game between Central Michigan and Miami, Ohio. Dan Lefebvre to Keto Publa, and Keto lost his headgear and just continued to celebrate without it. We'll have someone pick that up for you, Keto. There at halftime, it is 7-0 Central Michigan. Earlier today on College Game Day, Kirk Herbstreit reporting that Les Miles, as most expect, to be named head coach at Michigan. Of course, Les leading LSU in the SEC championship game later this afternoon against Tennessee.
Well, not a huge
LSU
surprise there,
feeling some pain. The head coach is leaving to go to Michigan. Opelini leaving to take the job at Nebraska. Boy, what are they going to do at LSU?
And it's not like, and again, the UCF defense all over it. By the way, it's not like the LSU job is a bad one, Andre.
No. They were right in it till last week, and Arkansas took them to overtime, was able to win that game, but they're usually right in there, a top 5 program year in and year out. It's going to be interesting to see who's next in line for that job.
Take a look at Gus Malzahn, the offensive coordinator and author of a book called The Hurry Up, No Huddle. Wrote that in 1997 when he was a high school head coach at Arkansas, a high school head coaching legend in that state. And this is his offense. You're watching Tulsa run. And there's Trey Johnson, freshman from Grand Prairie, Texas, shoved out of bounds by Neal.
Well, he's got some young talent in the receiving core. You talk Trey Johnson, you already called A.J. Whitmore's name. Trey Johnson, second team Conference USA, just a true freshman. And you see the numbers there, calling the numbers from the sideline. You know, I heard about Spygate. I think I'd get me a nice little camera out and start digitizing some things.
And there's a first down for the Golden Hurricane with Terry and Adams breaking through, Rashad making the stop.
It's one thing if you're going to put it out there and put the number, and all of a sudden you get plays. Somebody somewhere, if you're not doing your job, if you're on the other sideline, you see it's being called, you see the numbers that are kind of being called in. You got to get somebody on that in a hurry to see if you can decipher through what's being called and what's being run as according to the numbers.
Well, I've actually looked at this book. And that's right in the middle of the book is this whole thing. It signifies the type of play, and flags are down. And we may once again have a false start on Tulsa. This is their third.
And I'm sure he goes through every week and the numbers change from game to game. But, you know, for this game, I would have someone on top of it.
On the offense, number 86, It's a 5-yard penalty and remains first down.
And again, these teams have already played at Bright House Network Stadium, and it was a 21-point UCF win in the 7th week of the season for these teams.
Yeah, we got a chance to talk with John Sledany, the defensive coordinator for UCF yesterday. He said this is exactly where we want them. First down and behind the chains, or make a negative play and force them to play in long yardage situations.
And they'll try to get a couple back on the ground and maybe only back to the line of scrimmage. Corey Hogue is off to a hot start, his 3rd tackle already in this quarter.
Well, the thing you can't do, even with a 10-0 lead early in the ball game, Dave, with a team like Tulsa, they're so explosive, they're always in the game. Whether it's up by 10, 15, 20 points, they can score at a rapid pace, so you can't let your guard down. You have to play football and sound defense for 4 quarters.
Dangerous pass there, because if he underthrows that or maybe overthrows it a little bit, that could be picked and taken the other way. Burnett in on the stop of Brennan Marion. We talked about Marion's ridiculous numbers. 36 yards per catch practically. 24 catches. He's gone for 25 yards or more. 17 of those have gone for 35 or more.
Yeah, and he's got speed to burn. He was a Class 4A state champion his junior season in the state of Pennsylvania, so the kid can move. He can motor, and you see at times why he carries that 35.9-yard average coming into this game.
Middle of the field was open and taken by Johnson. And finally, Chance Henderson came from his linebacker position to keep that from being an even bigger gainer.
Boy, he came wide open. A little pressure on Paul Smith. You see the composure as a senior quarterback. Trey Johnson going to work himself down and become wide open right in the middle of the field. You see him finding the nice window for his quarterback, and then it's the yards after the catch. When guys can do that for you, boy, that is special. Trey Johnson already a very talented receiver. He's already set the freshman receiving records at Tulsa with 940 yards and 10 touchdowns.
Adams in the backfield. Looking end zone here. In the back, Clay. He'll hang on to it this time. Touchdown for Tulsa.
Boy, excellent job from Paul Smith. And he waits this one out. It's a corner route to Charles Clay. And when he set up, he was not open. You see him just kind of wait for it to develop right there. He's covered, double covered, keeps going to the corner. And Paul Smith allows him to wait, gets past the double coverage, and throws him a nice ball in the back of the end zone.
For Clay, his 7th touchdown, 6th in the air. And for Smith, that's his 40th touchdown pass. And this is more like the game we expected we were going to see. Now we're seeing big plays in special teams, big plays in offense. We'll see what UCF does when we return to Orlando.
I'm just impressed with his courage. It's just incredible that he was able to summon up that courage to give that speech to motivate people. I love him. I miss him. And we're gonna win.
Well, join ESPN and the V Foundation in the fight against cancer. Call 1-800-4-JIMMY-V or just log on to www.jimmyv.org and donate, and do it now. And if you ever want to give yourself a real thrill, go find that speech that he gave that night on the internet. There's a story behind that he, of course, he was so ill. They really, he wanted to go so badly, but it was such a challenge for him physically, even to get on the stage, much less make that speech and make it so moving and memorable. It's a short kick. Trying to avoid 2 returners for UCF who have touchdowns, and Stephen Baker does a nice job, the linebacker, in gathering that up. Both Curtis Francis and Williams for UCF have run back to the house this year.
Well, if you're Tulsa and you got a guy that they want to feed the football to, Kevin Smith, I think with that 3-3 off defensive look they have, they'll start creeping guys into the box. They'll start showing 8-man fronts, and with that, it's going to come some press man coverage for the secondary, and now it's going to be up to Kyle Israel at some point in this game to complete some passes down the field.
But not here. Smith tries to get to the edge, and that time, good job by the Tulsa defense. Get used to seeing Karatapian 44 in there, and Kenny D. Sims, the sophomore from St. Louis as well.
Well, you're going to see the look that we just described, a bunch of bodies right there, all but 1, 2 in the box. 9 guys there, and you're UCF still trying to run the football with Kevin Smith. That's going to create the man-to-man matchups on the outside, and as a quarterback, you like that because now it's just your receiver wins for you. Just get him the football.
Of course, we talked with Tim Salem, the offensive coordinator for Central UCF yesterday. He didn't care if he put 100 in the box with Kevin Smith back there. He's going to run him. Open. And a first down for the Knights. That's Rocky Ross, the junior from nearby Jacksonville, his 46th catch on the year.
Yeah, that's the point that the price you're going to pay when you try to keep a lot of guys in the box. You see Rocky Ross come in motion here. Nice little corner route, but it's man-to-man. He gets out in front of Kenny D. Sims. Nice little corner route adjustment to the football. When you line up, you keep all those guys in a box. You better be able to play solid man-to-man behind it.
Gain of 18. Smith again, and a nice tackle. Boy, as Nelson Coleman just flew in there low and took him down. Aaron?
Talking about how many times Kevin Smith will carry the ball. Well, there's no rhyme or reason. It's not even scientific, if you will, about what he and offensive coordinator Tim Salem decides. How about it's how many ounces of Gatorade he will drink before pregame? I walked up to Kevin before the game and I said, "What'd you got? How many ounces?" 79 ounces. So not only will he have 79 carries, but we may see a couple trips to the old restroom today.
Yeah, that's what he told us in the meeting. He said however many bottles or ounces of Gatorade, that's how many carries. So two bottles of Gatorade would be 40 ounces, so you expect 40 carries from the youngster. 79 ounces. Whew.
He must be thinking of a bowl game.
I don't know if you can run 79 plays in a game.
And Tim Salem, by the way, told us he's also willing to take some losses early in the run game, run a couple of plays that don't gain many yards, because he thinks down the road that's going to pay off with a softer defense.
Well, he's got a lot of confidence in that big offensive line that over time they will wear you down, especially against the look that Tulsa implements defensively, that 3-3 look.
That actually hit Smith in the helmet and is recovered by Karatapian. I'm pretty sure I saw that right. That snap came up high, Smith in motion, hit him in the helmet.
Well, you're going to see him go in motion, and the ball just kind of gets snapped right there in front of him, hits him in the helmet before it could get to Kyle Israel. He was actually trying to pass protect from an edge rusher, which may have been Karatapian coming from that side. He has wreaked havoc all afternoon on Kyle Israel as he's dropped back to pass. So he's trying to adjust and get over there and pick him up from the running back position. But this is what happened in the first game, but it happened at Tulsa. They turned the football over to UCF.
Now, what happened on the timing there?
Just went a little bit early.
Right now, one thing that Tulsa has not been able to do is run the football. Rashad in there to stop Terry and Adams.
Well, you're going to see Kevin Smith, as he's trying to pick up some things on the outside, went a little bit too early. Right here, you're going to see right out here, there's a blitzer coming. Actually, that was this is Tulsa's last play, their last running play. We'll get you that other look that created the turnover.
Seen Smith on a throwback, and that's going to be headed toward the direction of the guys on the chain gang. Third down and long. Fans are yelling for intentional grounding. It's just a mistake. However, there's going to be a little meaning here. Gus Malzahn, the offensive coordinator, is not going to like this if they throw the flag on his quarterback. I don't think they're going to.
Well, here's the botch snap again, where you're going to see Kevin Smith trying to pick up a blitzer that's coming from the outside. He's trying to go there to meet him. He goes a little bit early, and it is Karatapian, who's been and lived in the Tulsa backfield. Ball hits him in the head, and all of a sudden it's a Tulsa turnover.
But at the moment, Tulsa hasn't done anything with it. Now they have to take one of their 3 first-half timeouts.
Boy, with the exception of the last drive, they have seemed out of sync offensively.
Greatness doesn't care how early it is or how late. Greatness doesn't care if anyone's watching. Greatness doesn't care about your clothes, your hair, or your music. The only thing greatness cares about is getting an opportunity. Where will you get yours? At UCF, we believe no dream is too big and no goal out of reach. On the fields, the courts, and in the classrooms, UCF stands for opportunity.
White House Network's Conference USA Championship game, college football, brought to you by Cars.com. With Andre Ware, I'm Dave Lamont. Aaron Andrews patrolling the sidelines. UCF with their touchdown on a spectacular punt return by Joe Burnett. Tulsa has scored once, but this game a little lower scoring pace than everybody had anticipated, considering the explosiveness of the offenses.
Wouldn't be surprised if Tulsa picks up about half of it to see him go for it on 4th down.
Or they go deep for it right there, and it could be intercepted and should have been intercepted. In and out of the hands of Jason Benson, the junior from Marietta, Georgia. That was just sitting up there on a tee waiting for him. He just couldn't quite hang on. Now, again, Paul Smith will stay on the field. If you missed earlier, he has already punted once and has done it several times this year.
Well, they are continuing to get pressure on the quarterback, trying to force Paul Smith to make some quick decisions in the passing game. And so far for UCF, it has worked out. They've given up one touchdown pass to Paul Smith, to Charles Clay, but they played some solid defense.
Punts have been a problem, though. Think about the first punt by Smith was only 13 yards. The second time that Tulsa punted, it was run back 83. Or you could just fake it and open. And that's Chamberlain. Chris Chamberlain, a linebacker who has run in for one touchdown early in the year against Louisiana Monroe. Wide open on this one, Andre.
Boy, I'll tell you, pull out everything when it's the championship game, and this is the advantage you have when you have a quarterback that serves as your punter. Right here, you're going to see Chamberlain sneak up the sideline. Paul Smith wide open. All you got to do is just lob one up to the linebacker, give him something that he can catch. Big time throw, better catch, and sets up Tulsa at point blank range.
And instead of being the guy who might run another one back for a touchdown, it was Burnett who saved the touchdown. Adams comes in at tailback for the Golden Hurricane. Play action fake to him, wide open in the end zone, an easy touchdown. Jake Collins.
Jake Collins, his second touchdown reception. Started 13 games a year ago as a freshman. Redshirt freshman, has now played in 25, but 2 touchdown passes for him this year, that being his second.
He only had 3 catches. He makes them count.
That was a nice play fake by Paul Smith to keep the linebackers up to the line of scrimmage. You get down on that end of the field, you're thinking run. They show it, you react, and missed extra point.
The PAT. Tracy had missed 2 on the year, now make it 3. But for Paul Smith, Andre, 41 touchdown pass. That's Ware-like.
You watch the play fake right here. It's been a long time since it's been Ware-like. But you'll see the fake punt here. This is what it gives you when you have the quarterback who serves as your punter, wants to knock him down inside the 20, so you're playing punt all the way. He's able to sneak the linebacker out, and then down in the red zone, a nice play fake to Terry and Adams over the top. Nice little lob shot to Jake Collins right there. Nice little touch on the ball right over the linebacker, Chance Henderson.
You were watching Smith in warm-up. We were down on the field before the game. What did you think of his arm?
Oh, I thought he had tremendous arm strength. Well, you know, the test, he asked me, what qualifies as a guy with strong arm? I said, if you can stand on one hash mark and make a throw on a line outside the other hash mark at least about 15 yards down the field, and it's coming on a line, on a rope, that shows me that he can certainly whip the ball around the field. Very impressed with the way Paul Smith throws the football. There, he showed you the touch, not just the strong arm, but the touch over the top to the big tight end.
And a lot of poise, too. Certainly showed his poise on the fake, the very short kickoff. And it'll be taken by Curtis Francis, who has housed one already, but not this time. Boy, he took a face full of dirt that time. Solid tackle by Gobert and also Trey Johnson.
We talked about Paul Smith and Tim Tebow, and they were tied coming into this ball game right here in touchdowns. They both had 51 apiece, and now you got to give a little star for Paul Smith. He's taking the lead in that category. He does it a little bit different, but still a great deal of success for that young man. But just a tremendous leader. You talk to Todd Graham, he says, hey, he's a guy that you don't have to ask him to be a leader. The rest of the guys on the team just tend to follow him. He's a natural leader.
Well, if your name is Smith, this is your day with these two players. Responsible for about every yard in this football game right now. Here's Kevin. And boy, I like how he delivered the punishment. He took a hit, but he also gave one out.
Boy, it's sweet footwork from the junior running back from UCF, Kevin Smith. Watch him get into the hole and then kind of shuffle out. Watch the footwork right there. Inside, boom, boom, and then shuffle outside, and then he's from one gear to the other, and then deliver the punishment. I'm going to bring it to Charles Davis, the free safety. You come in here, you better get your pad level low, or I'm going to deliver the lick.
Well, now Davis is small for a free safety, too. Listed at 5'9" and 170, but they switched him during the season from corner, and things have gone very well for Tulsa since. This play will not ever make it.
We're talking about Charles Davis. False start's going to be on UCF offensively, but he did.
5-yard penalty. Remains second down.
Started the year out at corner. He and Kenny D. Sims, who was a free safety, they did basically just traded positions, and they kind of maximized that deal where it's a little bit better when Charles Davis is in there. He's more of a communicator, gets the entire secondary set up, everybody lined up and in place, and Kenny D. Sims, is a guy that can cover a little bit better from the outside. So it was a magnificent switch a couple of games ago for those two.
Again, the middle open. That is Ross. And he also delivers a shot to Roy Roberts. Coleman in on the stop. Second catch for Ross. Well, with national title hopes on the line, Heisman contender Chase Daniel and #1 ranked Missouri will look to cement their spot in the BCS title game when they face Sam Bradford and the Oklahoma Sooners. The Dr. Pepper Big 12 Championship, part of Saturday Night Football, presented by Southwest Airlines. Oklahoma versus Missouri, tonight at 8 Eastern on ABC and ABC HD. Man, I cannot wait.
I want to see that one myself, my man.
And a good example is headgear flying off from Tulsa that time as Karatapian once again in on the stop. Well, let's take a look at some of the big pieces of this puzzle.
Yeah, you got the ACC championship game there, Virginia Tech and BC going at it. SEC championship game, Tennessee and LSU. USC, UCLA, a rivalry game taking place. There's another one right there, Pittsburgh and West Virginia. And I look for Pittsburgh to make a stand. If West Virginia is going to eventually wear them down, but I think they'll start the game early. They'll make it a game early, but West Virginia, just too much speed for Pitt.
And this is developing into a healthy rivalry in Conference USA. The second time in 3 years the two teams have met for the Conference USA title. First time we've taken a look at Israel as a runner. He banged up his knee last Saturday, but finished the game, and he gets the first down for the Knights.
Well, it also shows me what type of complete player Kevin Smith is as he turns up and throws the block for his quarterback to lead to that first down, Dave.
Smith's everywhere you look. Running, passing, blocking. And we have a great first quarter in the book with more to come as they play for a berth in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. That's where the winner's going.
It's my time. Get out of my way. It's crunch time. Don't waste time. It's game time.
We'll take a quick look here at the block by Kevin Smith, which allowed for UCF to pick up this first down. Right here, number 24, you see him just kind of leak out, but watch him as he's being directed, turn up the field right there, and throw a nice little block on the outside, moves everybody and allows Kyle Israel to pick up the first down and continue this drive.
Smith out of Southridge High School in Miami, one of the stronger high school powers down there. Gets the ball again, and boy, I tell you what, if not for the persistent tackle by Nelson Coleman, that play had the look it was going to be a big one.
Well, I tell you, you look at him, you look at his frame, he looks kind of wiry, but he runs with tremendous power, runs out of a lot of tackles. 24K is that nickname. How about this, the homicide detective once his football days are over?
That might be a while.
It might be a minute. Yeah, he's got a lot of football ahead of him.
Well, here's the funny part. He was switched to defensive back by his high school coach his senior year, and other schools wanted him to play that. Nice little cross there, and that's going to be dropped. What's the ruling? They may be ruling this a fumble. That was Ross who put the ball down on the ground, and they're calling it UCF football.
Maybe calling it down as the receiver came down, then the football came out. But what a well-thrown football by Kyle Israel. This is one of those routes as a quarterback you have to anticipate the receiver coming open. And you know, you don't have a lot of time.
First down.
Gotta get the explanation here.
Replay. is shutting down the play when we review the play.
You're going to see the anticipation right here, Kyle Israel, and he just lets that one go long before the receiver, Rocky Ross, comes out of his break. They're going to take a look at this one. It goes out of bounds, and no one really has possession of the football. He rolls over, but the ball clearly out of bounds. They're going to rule it a reception, maybe a fumble, and the ball goes out of bounds. It's kind of, no one recovers it, but then it comes out of bounds, and as it's picked up by Chris Chamberlain, it's already out, and his body is out as well.
If you notice, the official tossed that orange bag. That definitely indicates they ruled it a fumble on the field, and that may be where the ball is brought back. You see Ricky K, 46, will come into your picture.
And the old football move as well. You see him with the ball tucked and making a football move up the field. Now the ball, without anybody possessing it, kind of hits right along the sideline. So this is going to be UCF's football. And first down and some nice field position inside the 5-yard line.
Israel, the senior from Orlando, went to high school practically outside the door.
Well, he seemed to have got it, too. I mean, you know, you look at it in University High School right here in Orlando. But the last 6 games, you get accustomed to what you're doing offensively, and you get a feel for it. He is playing at an extremely high level. Like what you see about him on film, the anticipation of that throw to Rocky Ross.
After review, the play on the field is confirmed. We have a catch, forward fumble out of bounds. The ball will be placed at the spot of the fumble, and it'll be a first down for UCF.
Hey, you know what you tell him? Tell Rocky Ross, if you're the coach, good catch, son, but now hold on to the football. You know, put that baby away. You know, as soon as you catch it and start up the field, somebody's coming from somewhere to try to rake it out of there. But that's the message. Catch it, put it away, and hold on to it.
Now, who do you think might get the ball here?
I'm going to bet number 24 may get a touch or two inside the red zone here.
24 rushing touchdowns. Looked like for a second, well, he got bent back once again. Chamberlain up top. And looked like Coleman was in the middle of all of that as for Tulsa, and their defense bent him back after a yard.
Well, Chamberlain's just a good football player. 6'2", 225 pounds, playing outside linebacker. 139 tackles on the season. Leads the team in that department. But I'll tell you what, he is just a football player. Hard-nosed guy, willing to stick his nose in there and make some plays for the team.
Trying to get to the edge, and he'll do it. Touchdown for Smith, and touchdown for the Knights.
Well, you're seeing one talented football player in Kevin Smith, a guy that has the ability to change directions, start inside, and the footwork to change directions and bounce outside without having to redirect his shoulders. That's just sweet feet right there on that touchdown run.
Let me make a slight correction. That was 25 coming in, now 26 rushing and 27 touchdowns on the year for the junior from Miami, Kevin Smith, who makes a miss, even the good ones.
Between winning and losing, no second place trophies, either you winning or losing. Proof is in the pudding, which side is you choosing? Leave it on the field, no time for confusion. No rest.
Andre, before the game, it was that end zone that was chanting to Kevin Smith as he warmed up, one more year. They don't want him to leave.
They don't want to see him go. That's right.
There you go. He doesn't want any presents. He doesn't want a new set of sunglasses. Everybody wants Kevin Smith to come back.
That's right. This is fantastic. This is college football at its finest.
I think it shows what an on-campus stadium where there was none before can do to the students and do for them. Well, you know, there is something at stake in the football game for the winner of the Conference USA Championship. For more on that, we go to the field and Aaron Andrews.
Hi, Dave. I'm here along with Steve Earhart, Executive Director of the Auto AutoZone Liberty Bowl Classic, of course, played in Memphis. The winner of this game represent Conference USA in your bowl. You're also looking for an SEC opponent. What's the scenario right now with that?
That's right, Aaron. We'll invite the winner of this game to play in the 49th Annual AutoZone Liberty Bowl against an SEC team. That'll be determined later this afternoon. Teams like Kentucky, Alabama, Mississippi State, and Arkansas are all still alive for the AutoZone Liberty Bowl.
You're on your way to Atlanta, right, to go observe a few teams over there?
That's right. I'll be leaving here in Atlanta, and we'll pick our selection from the SEC as well for the matchup on December 29th right here on ESPN on the AutoZone Liberty Bowl.
And, of course, the winner gets to take this exact replica, I'm told, of the Liberty Bell. Check this out, Dre. You see that? You hear that?
Sweet.
That's
we hear
how I
you.
roll.
It's dinner time, huh?
Hey, how about this?
Lunchtime.
What if they get Arkansas? And again, this is it, we got a long way to go. If you happen to get a UCF-Arkansas match, you get McFadden Smith.
You get the #1 rusher against the #2 rusher, Darren McFadden. Boy, that would be something to see.
Of course, Tulsa didn't do too badly with Terry and Adams on that first catch. And they bring the #1 offense in the country if they go to the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. Let's go to Bristol and Reese.
All right, guys, Army and Navy midshipmen, they're on their way to the San Diego County Credit Union Poinsettia Bowl in San Diego. And Zervin Singleton turning the corner against Army, and the Middies are up 7-0 in the second quarter.
Now there's a name.
Midshipman, yeah.
Yeah, Paul Johnson's name.
He's on a lot of coaching lists. I love Paul Johnson. I think he's the best in-game coach in college football. He has you figured out after the second possession.
Under some pressure, throw by Smith, and good defense play that time by John L. Neal. He had his eyes on that football the entire time.
Well, John L. Neal right there to try to go over the top to the big-time playmaker, Brennan Marion, who's the guy that averages all the yards per catch. Tremendous speed, but a nice job by John L. Neal, the junior cornerback out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Nice play there.
3rd and long.
You know, going back to Paul Johnson, you talk about a guy that makes the most out of what he has. All he does is get Navy in a bowl game every year.
Avoiding the blitz, Smith has some room to run. He'll take the shot down the field, and that was the smart decision. Clay belted. Now they're going to rule him inbounds or not. And looks like they have ruled out a catch. Tell you what, they list Clay as a fullback on their depth chart at 6'3", 222. I don't know too many college fullbacks, Andre, who go deep.
No, not at all. And I'll tell you what, he's more like an H-back type out of the backfield. You're going to see him here as he's just going to come down the sideline and get himself open. And Paul Smith does a nice job of buying himself some time. He gets the one-on-one coverage right there, but this is a nice job of catching the football, tapping him down inbounds for a big-time catch.
And the concentration, because he had to see the defender racing over to smack him right in the mouth, and he hung on. 38 yards on that one. Look out, that almost really was a disaster, but it's A.J. Whitmore, the speedy freshman, and it's a first down for Tulsa inside the 10.
You get an aggressive UCF defense, and you get tremendous flow to the right side of this formation. You can see all the bodies going that way, and then the nice little flip back to the other side. Now you got everybody trying to redirect. And A.J. Whitmore, speedy little inside receiver with tremendous quickness, makes a nice play for a first down.
On the design draw, he'll just walk in, touchdown for the Golden Hurricane. And Paul Smith.
Boy, how about the job of just handling that snap? Jody Wiley, the center up front for Tulsa. This one's a little bit high, and Paul Smith really had to concentrate. And that's the thing about a quarterback draw, is that it's built on timing. You allow the defensive lineman to get into the rush lanes. You take one step to get him going one direction and pull it down. Paul Smith was able to kind of hang on to that snap.
George O'Leary for UCF well out on the field, and the officials have stopped the clock. I don't think George, you see him, you can see his words, review it. Review it, though. I wonder what he means. Oh, on the touchdown, O'Leary, and thank you, Aaron Andrews, who tells us that O'Leary's protesting that there were 12 on the field.
That's just one that the officials miss.
See what our referee has to say.
Previous plays being challenged by UCF for 12 players on the field.
All right, let's count.
We'll see. We'll count. Count with Coach O'Leary. We got 1 here, 2, 3. There were indeed 12 players on the field. We count them from the sideline to sideline. There's 12 guys there. 12 players.
Yep. Even I can count that. Now, another thing that you take those points off the board. They were about to line up for an extra point with Tracy. Let's not forget the reason we have 13 or 19 for the moment for Tulsa is a missed extra point.
And I think that's going to play a very important part in this ball game as it gets closer and closer to the end of it.
So an important challenge now, unlike the NFL. They don't go hiding under a hood. It's just the replay official and the referee talking. The replay official, Jim Ena, probably didn't want his name mentioned today, but comes to the territory. You know, it's funny. You don't normally see 12 people on offense. It's always on defense you see that.
You see, because of the substitution packages that so many different defensive coordinators implement. But
also, you know who's here
on the defensive side of the ball.
You know who we ran into in the elevator coming up? The former NFL referee Gerald Austin is now working for Conference USA. I think a lot of NFL fans will recognize that name. All right, let's find out what the call is.
Replay has confirmed that there were 12 players on the field for the offense. The penalty will be marked off from the previous spot, 15 yards, and it'll be first down.
That's a big one. A 15-yard penalty for 12 men.
So take those points right off the board. Well, I tell you what, I don't know if George saw that. He probably had some spies in his press box. One of his coaches up there, maybe a grad assistant on a headset, yelled down that Tulsa had too many people.
Well, you know, you wonder if that's indeed, because that's just one the officials miss. And if, you know, you wonder at times, is that a reviewable play? You know, can you review whether there's 12 men on the field or not?
Well, now it's first and goal at the
answer is yes. Yeah, the answer is yes, and a 15-yard penalty.
Smith's got a little room to run. He'll instead go for the end zone, try to get it all back at once, and it's knocked away. Nicely done by Rashad.
Yeah, Sharif Rashad, very smart player, second team All-CUSA this year. You see Paul Smith trying to step up and find his big play guy, Brennan Marion, down the field. You're going to see that happen a lot. They are not afraid to challenge you down the field with Brennan Marion. That's why he came in averaging just under 36 yards a reception on 32 catches.
And the officials come in here again, and now it's the Tulsa sideline, of which all their coaches are walking on the field. And that's because they need to take another timeout. So Tulsa thought they had a touchdown. It was wiped out by a serious 15-yard penalty, as if there's any other kind. We'll see how they react in a moment.
ESPN's college football, brought to you by Taco Bell, think outside the bun, and Aflac, ask about it at work.
That was yesterday, and head coach George O'Leary and his lunch, about 350 people packed room actually in the stadium to hear his thoughts on this game. And this area, which has had college football fans from all over from different schools, Florida, Florida State and all, now having a reason to be excited about their team and their defense. Boy, Hogue there again. He had help from Shaligan, and what was a touchdown for Tulsa, Andre, now is a punting situation.
Yeah, you look at the coverage in the defensive backfield here for UCF. Everybody pretty much covered up. He had one there, but that's not really one you have. Maybe you can go there, but all of a sudden your vision, it's clouded, and you can't see down the field. He decides to redirect, pull it down, and then it's too late. He ends up taking a big-time sack.
They are out of field goal range. If they can't get anything here of decent yardage, they may have to have Smith punt. Coming back the other way with Neal. And he needs a couple of blocks to set up a big return, still going, and that even beats having Smith punt the football because you get a nice return out of it as well. So a disaster for Tulsa. They lose the touchdown on the penalty. They lose 15 yards in the penalty. They give up a sack and an interception after that.
Boy, they bring Bruce Miller, the defensive end, off the edge, gets tremendous pass rush, and going to get it in the face right here of Paul Smith. You get nice rush from that side of it, kind of collapse on the quarterback. This ball sails on Paul Smith, and I'm thinking, no, don't pick it off. But then he picks it up. It was a 4th down and brings it out because they would have had pretty good field position even if he'd have just knocked it down. But UCF right now, big-time momentum gain in this football game.
Little loss of poise, and look at the hole here, and that face mask, they should have that as Kevin Smith had it pulled. Now we'll see if it's going to be the personal foul or just the 5-yard. Karatapian did it.
That's going to be the big one. That's going to be the 15-yarder because this face basically turned all the way around.
Personal foul, face mask, number 44. It's a 15-yard penalty tacked on to the end of the run.
And Antonio Wallace, the junior outside linebacker, just kind of grabs a hold of the face mask. But you see the blocking, the big gaping holes. You see there's the face mask. But the big holes that are being provided up front by UCF and that offensive line. I'm sorry, it was Alan Kartapian, the outside linebacker, with a face mask penalty for Tulsa.
And once again, they'll just keep giving it to Smith. The foot race. He wins it. Touchdown, UCF.
George O'Leary may have undersold Kevin Smith to me yesterday. Because I asked him, I said, just how fast is he? He can go about 4 or 5. He can add a little weight. I don't know of a 4 or 5 guy that doesn't get run down with an angle and speed from a guy in the secondary. There's plenty of 4 or 5 guys that get tracked down. He's a little bit faster than 4 or 5, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, this has to be one of the more dramatic turnarounds of any game you'll watch this season. The extra point wobbles through. Just think of it. About 5 minutes ago in real time, Tulsa was ahead. They lost the touchdown, and now they're down by 11. Look what Kevin Smith has done already in this first half, and on his way to his 27th rushing touchdown of the season. Well, you see the speed of Kevin Smith on his way to his 27th touchdown run of the season. Where did he get this speed from? Maybe it comes naturally. That's his mom. Nice moves. What do you think her 40 time is?
I don't know. Mom's got the high knees working, though. Good running the touchdown with him. Bringing the little fella along.
Well, what a performance already for Kevin Smith. I mean, some guys will do this over 2 weeks.
Yeah, mother Pam Smith. She is a proud mother.
That's going to be Roberts. A little bit of a hole here, and it closed quickly. Let's go to Bristol and rejoin Reese Davis.
All right, Dave, want to keep your finger on the pulse of the family of networks. Boston College and Virginia Tech underway on ABC in the ACC championship game. Steve Afanavich is about to try a field goal to put BC on top. MAC championship game on ESPN2. Central Michigan up 14-3 late in the third.
And our score here, UCF, the Knights, in front of Tulsa Golden Hurricane, 24-13. Tulsa having missed a PAT and having just had a touchdown taken away.
Yeah, but we got a long way to go. Tulsa can score as fast as any team in the country.
Not that way, they won't. They average just under 41 points per game. Well, in a single season, almost no one has done what Kevin Smith is doing right now.
No, only a couple of guys, Marcus Allen and then Barry Sanders, who owns the record back in 1988. But you see right here, and we are just in the first half of this game with still over 9 minutes left. So he's going to get some more in the first half with a complete second half of football and then a bowl game to add on to that. So, boy, he is going to get about as close, if not break the record that Barry Sanders holds.
Right in between the sticks. Set up a third down. The catch made by Brennan Mary and Neal on the stop. Well, let's go ahead and have our Aflac trivia question, shall we?
There's a duck.
Kevin Smith entered the day with 376 carries. Who holds the Division 1A, or now known as FBS, single season record?
I'm going to go Anthony Thompson of Indiana.
Wow. The A-train, huh? All right.
I'm trying to think. I'm scanning the old brain for that one.
The blitz brought, and Smith hung in there, and if not for a fingernail tackle, Brennan Marion was a goner. John L. Neal saved the touchdown, but I'm very impressed with Paul Smith. He saw all those gold shirts right in his face, and it didn't faze him.
That's what happens when you bring the blitz and you get someone like Brennan Marion one-on-one on the outside with John L. Neal. You better tackle. If you show up late and the completion is there, make sure you get the tackle, because all of a sudden he creates some type of acrobatic move and is able to stay up. He's going to walk into the end zone.
Going out of Dion Tolliver, and picked up a little bit as Burnett in on the coverage for the Knights.
Boy, you barely get a chance defensively to catch your breath with this Tulsa team. We showed you the completion out to Brennan Marion, and then all of a sudden, bam, right back to the line of scrimmage. They're throwing at Dion Tolliver, and Gus Malzahn, he loves the fast break type. It's just described as fast break football, you know, fast break basketball on a football field. That's how they want to run it, as many plays as they can get in.
Here's a double reverse. And that, what a hit on the sideline. But the catch is apparently ruled good by Tolliver. The pass thrown by Drew Cuffey, a defensive back. The number we have, 28.
They're pulling out all the stops. Drew Cuffey throws this football, and I'll tell you what, it stays in the air forever. Nice little end around. They're going to toss it back here to him. You see the toss, and now he's being pursued, so now he's going to try to square those shoulders up, and that's a defensive back throwing that ball. Look at that. I bet you if we do a little research, Drew Cuffey played a little quarterback at some point in his career.
It was an incredible catch.
Nice throw as well.
Smith, too much time, and that's an easy touchdown for Tulsa to Trey Johnson. Wow, the freshman from Grand Prairie may not have had an easier touchdown all season long, his 11th on the year.
Well, Keith Shaligan, the defensive tackle, tried to put some pressure on, but if you play zone coverage and you can't get pass rush on a guy like Paul Smith, he's just going to wait out those receivers and make you pay for doing it.
Tracy has missed one PAT. High snap. He tucks that one in safely. Well, again, don't be surprised. Tulsa, #1 offense in the country, 548.6 yards per game, 42 touchdown passes on the season for Tulsa's Paul Smith.
A lot of things make the University of Tulsa great. Motivated students, a faculty that inspires, a beautiful residential campus. But it's the value of our private education that makes us truly unique. Come check us out. We're the University of Tulsa.
Well, not surprising that the two Smiths in this game have been absolutely spectacular. And look at how much time we have left in the second quarter.
I mean, there's plenty of time left in this game. Let's take a look back at the touchdown pass to Trey Johnson. You're going to see the clear out by the outside receiver here, or actually this guy, and then he's going to come right off of him inside where Paul Smith is going to find him. A nice job, though, clearing things out. You get the underneath there by the outside receiver, Trey Johnson. Paul Smith right on time with the football, and look at all that green grass in the middle.
By the way,
before another defender is anywhere on the screen.
Well, we were not the only ones fooled on that little throwback double reverse.
Yeah.
Because that was David Johnson wearing number 29, the backup quarterback who normally wears number 5, who threw that pass. That will explain why it was such a good pass as we go to visit with Reese Davis.
Dave, no team in the long and storied history of the Army-Navy rivalry has won 6 straight, but it looks as if Paul Johnson's midshipmen are going to do just that. Reggie Campbell takes a kickoff 98 yards after an Army field goal. Navy has added another touchdown. They're up 21-3.
No surprise to see this many points in our game. 44 already.
Paul Johnson getting it done again.
Yep. I didn't realize that 6 in a row. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, he is a special, special football coach. You sit down with him and you start to absorb what they do offensively. And it is just something special. He is, I am very, very impressed with the job that Paul Johnson does. Big-time fan here.
That's Todd Graham, who left Rice after 1 year to come back to Tulsa, where he had been an assistant coach. He's used to working at those schools with the small enrollments. Smith again, and this time cut underneath for very little gain for UCF. Well, Win and You're In Saturday continues on ESPN and ESPN2 in prime time. First on ESPN at 7:45 Eastern, Pat White, Steve Slayton, and the West Virginia Mountaineers hope to lock up a spot in the BCS title game when they host Pittsburgh in the Backyard Brawl. And at 8 Eastern on ESPN2, Arizona State will look to secure a spot in the Fiesta Bowl if they can get past the Arizona Wildcats. College football primetime presented by Hampton Hotel, 7:45 Eastern on ESPN. And college football primetime brought to you by GoDaddy.com at 8 Eastern on ESPN2. That is a big man in Mike Merritt. The first pass that UCF has completed to somebody not named Rocky Ross, and Nelson Coleman's 7th tackle of the game.
Well, it's a matchup you want to keep a look at, especially in the run game. Mike Merritt, the big tight end, matched up against Moton Hopkins, the talented defensive end from Converse, Judson, Texas, playing for Tulsa. But there, Merritt actually slips himself out in the flat, away from everybody. He's a pretty good receiver once he catches the football and yards after the catch.
How does a guy that size slip away from anybody? Can you explain that to me? I can see why he can do it.
Yeah, that's why right there.
But I don't know how Mike Merritt can do it. That's very close to a first down for Smith.
Watch the job that Patrick Brown and Cliff McCray, the left tackle and left guard, are going to do right here as they just, right there. Nice little opening hole, and you see it right on the outside. Kevin Smith sniffing it out and then dragging guys with it. That's where he kind of goes under the radar, is his ability to run through tackles and the strength to carry you down the field. And you better show up in numbers when you play against Kevin Smith.
Again. And not a whole lot there. All right, now obviously Kevin Smith carries the ball a ton for UCF. Let's go take a look at our Affleck trivia question answer. All right, now you guessed
Anthony Thompson
from Indiana. There's your question, and the answer is
Marcus Allen, 1981, the year he went for over 2,000 yards.
Well, Smith is going to eclipse that mark today, although he limped off the field, just maybe a little ankle tweak. But the trainers don't even bother going up to him. Could be a cramp, too, on a humid day. So Philip Smith, why not? We might as well have another person named Smith in this game. Sophomore from Mansfield, Texas, is at the top of the eye. Wide open, and a first down and more. That time it's Sergio Joaquim with a catch. Sims on the coverage.
Kevin Smith coming back into the football game. Just the numbers, updated numbers, 395 carries, 2,300 yards on the nose. And look at that. That's some work being done right there. The average, the touchdowns. Very impressed.
Well, let's do like Kevin Smith does, Andre, and give credit to that offensive line.
You have to. I mean, the big guys up front, you don't average 5.8 if they aren't doing their jobs.
This time Tulsa cuts him around to the line of scrimmage, and on top of him, Kara Tapien as we go down to the field, and Aaron Andrews.
Well, Dave, we've been talking about it, how Kevin Smith really went under the radar in the whole recruiting process, of course, because a lot of teams wanted to move him to free safety. Georgia O'Leary jumping right in there, felt he had the vision to be a tailback. Another head coach by the name of Ron Zook, of course, when he was with the University of Florida, he had his eye on Kevin Smith when he was in high school, really wanted to bring him to Florida. Of course, Zooker got fired from UF, went to Illinois, and Dre, I know you were like, well, why didn't he take him to Illinois then?
Yeah, all of a sudden, Kevin Smith was playing free safety his senior year.
Kara Tapien sold out on the blitz and forced the run by Israel. Not a bad move for UCF. He gets it down to the 10. Chamberlain on the stop. Otherwise, Israel might have walked in for a touchdown.
It's about 4.95 flat, but it's good enough to get the job done. Big offensive line holding onto their blocks, allowing for Kyle Israel to step up in the pocket. Nobody open down the field. Still got his eyes. Now you commit to the run, put the football away, and you'll see him right there. Protecting the football is what I like. When you decide to pull it down and make a dash as a quarterback, you're going to be in a crowded area, and guys want to put their hats on you. You got to protect the football.
That is Roy Roberts down with what appears to be a cramp. Now, again, some of you who are watching who are burning logs in a fireplace somewhere around.
It's still humid here.
It was 78 degrees at kickoff. We are right in the heart of the Sunshine State, although there's not any sunshine at the moment, and it's very humid. That's normal for this time of the year. In fact, it might even be a little more humid than normal for this time of the year in the middle of Florida, but still, that may explain the cramping. And you think of the dramatic difference in the degrees that Tulsa came in here from the mid-20s to where we are here. Not at all surprising to see the kind of offense we've had in this game. What I've been impressed with, Andre, is the poise of both quarterbacks. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't seen a bad decision by either of these quarterbacks yet.
No, they do it in two totally different ways. It's going to be play action for Kyle Israel, and then Paul Smith, it's a wide open, just fling it around attack. I think he's completed the football to 9 or 10 different receivers in this football game already. So two totally different ways of getting it done, but effective for both sidelines. Look at the quarterback comparison here. And Israel 5 of 7. Most of those passes have gone to Ricky Ross. He hit Sergio Joaquim on a big completion for a first down. A couple of nice runs by Israel as well.
It's Kevin Smith, and just for a moment you thought he might have been able to pop that one in for yet another touchdown. John Destin, who came in for Roberts, made the saving tackle.
Hey, what do you do here, Dave? Go back to the huddle and say, okay, we ran Kevin Smith to the right side. How about we try the left? Behind big Cliff McCray and Patrick Brown.
Now, Tulsa lost some rush yards on a sack because the NCAA takes the sack yardage away from your rushing totals, but UCF has stuck to their script.
I tell you, Mama Smith, I don't think she's taken a seat in this game yet. She's going to have about as many yards as Kevin will by the end of the day.
Well, Israel almost fell down. Doesn't matter. When you hand the ball to Smith, he'll fall down when he gets into the end zone. That's number 28 on the ground, 29th overall.
She's got all the yards. She just doesn't have the carries to go with it.
Well, he's not on the Heisman watch list. He's not on the Doak Walker.
He comes back, I guarantee you he's going to be on it.
He had better be.
He'll be on mine for next season, I promise you that.
So Tulsa's just been chasing and chasing and chasing in this treadmill, and they cannot catch up because they cannot stop that man.
How about the balance and strength that a guy like Kevin Smith shows you? You think he's going to go down as Kyle Israel kind of slips a little bit, but the balance and the strength of Kevin Smith gets him into the end zone. Nice little hesitation move and running through a couple of arm tackles. You better bring it when you line up and try to bring that young man down.
Well, UCF gave us a guide of what they want to accomplish today offensively, and one of their goals was to hit 7 explosive plays for the entire game, which would be 4 runs of 12 or more, or 3 passes of 20 or more. They've already done it.
Boy, it's there already. 4 runs and 3 passes. The 7 explosives that Tim Salem, the offensive coordinator, talked about. He said he didn't want to turn the football over in this game. 7 explosive plays. Convert 50% on 3rd downs of 6 or more yards. And they're right on schedule at UCF.
And again, there's nothing wrong with your TV sets, folks. That's the stadium that's vibrating. Actually, we can feel a little bit up here.
The concern for Todd Graham is not as if they can score, but the way that UCF has gone about their way of scoring. On the ground, churning out some clock. Will you have enough time at the end of this thing to get a couple of possessions? Or is Kevin Smith really going to just eat up everything, eat up the time, and not allow you to get back in it? So time of possession going to become a factor in this game for Tulsa.
Robertson Johnson back deep. And wow, just for a second that hit, and I thought if that hugged the sideline, Roberts was in trouble. But it is a flag and a good field position for Tulsa as we rejoin Reese Davis.
All right, Dave, coming up on the Pontiac Performance Halftime Report. Earlier today, it's been reported that Les Miles was on his way to Michigan. Maybe not. Conflicting stories now, and we are awaiting a press conference with the current LSU coach. We'll also check in on the ACC championship game and look ahead to a potential Tiger trap for #1. Mark and Lou will join me. We'll see you in a bit.
Well, now, from the not-so-fast, my friend category, we've had over 500 yards already in this half.
You see the different looks they're trying to give Paul Smith up front. People jockeying for position.
Now the only quality running back in this game is Kevin Smith, as Terrion Adams, the junior from Moore, Oklahoma, breaks through, and Breon Rogers in the secondary had to come in and make the stop.
Well, he's having his best season as a running back. Was honorable mention All-Conference USA last season. Born in Japan, Kadima Air Force Base. I'll tell you what, he has done a fantastic job, the junior running back from Moore, Oklahoma.
And if he gets 4 more yards, Andre, he'll have 2,000 for his career. He won't get it on that carry, though. Well, let's take a look at Terrion Adams and learn a little bit more about this junior. 6'1", 210 pounds.
You wonder how a guy that young even remembers the great Walter Payton. You know, maybe studying the game and getting a little history on it. But I tell you, that's one to become, if you're going to have a favorite player. And why he wears number 25, I guess his favorite holiday around this time of year, Dave, Christmas.
I forgot to email you my Christmas list, Andre. Remind me to do that later.
You got it.
Again, Smith getting all that kind of time, and there's just not much you're going to be able to do with a quarterback that accurate and that intelligent. Trey Johnson on the receiving end of that.
No, I'll tell you what impresses me as well about Paul Smith and the season that he's having is he had to really learn this offense this season. Ran something entirely different last year, but this is a predominantly passing type offense. Nice little corner route, little hint inside and bring it back down the stem. Paul Smith delivering the football on time.
And he has thrown to 8 different receivers in this half, as A.J. Whitmore, who's listed as a wide receiver but has been utilized as a runner quite a bit, has run for over 200 yards on this season.
Yeah, the coaches talk about Paul Smith, and they tell you, he's just another coach on the field, and this is his first year in Gus Malzahn's offense. So he's executing it at a very high level, having a big, big degree of success.
And the open, that's Clay. Showing some nice moves, and another first down for Tulsa.
That's what we talked about. He's spreading the football around. He's hitting, Trey Johnson on one pass, comes right back, and they're fast break football. Charles Clay on another, redirecting the formation, shuttling in personnel. And if you're UCF, they're going to take a timeout here, trying to get this defense a breather.
Well, one of the things Tulsa worked on in the preseason was conditioning for this offense. They brought in a new coach. They changed their approach. Todd Graham at his return to Tulsa from Rice, and the whole emphasis was quick, 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 as much as anything else.
I tell you what becomes unfair when you talk about Tulsa offensively is that they have so many receivers, and they can shuttle those in and out, and you only have like a one complement of defensive backs. So over time, as the game grows on, they become very, very tired. You're going to see some players get cramps in this game in the defensive backfield for UCF. And Tulsa, they take advantage of those matchups once they wear you down, and it's who goes first. Is it the running game that wears down Tulsa defensively, or is it the passing game of Tulsa that wears down UCF defensively?
Now, Tulsa is the Western Division champion. UCF is the Eastern Division champion, and they earned the right. This is not a neutral site game by any means. This game was earned by UCF for the best record in the conference. Houston had a fine season, but they've got a situation now regarding their coach. And we're looking at several teams in there bowl eligible, make for some entertaining visitors.
Yeah, you mentioned that Houston loses Art Briles to Baylor University. They're in a coaching search right now.
And here's Whitmore looking to throw. And wisely threw it away. Good coverage that time by the Knights defense.
Thought right away that he had Cameron Clemens. Could have let one go in the corner of the end zone. Chose not to, and he does the smart thing. So many times when receivers who aren't in that situation a lot will try to force it or either run the football. And he does the smart thing and throws it away.
Well, he knows his way around. As a quarterback, he was 41-2 in high school in Nashville, Arkansas, and at 120 touchdowns. He knows his way around. 120 touchdowns?
That's a lot.
Jeez. Some fancy footwork by Marion. All that earned him is a belt in the head.
Well, that
by Burnett.
Yards per catch is going down in a hurry. He's caught a couple of underneath routes, and you go to that sideline, start lobbying for something down the field for a big play to get a big jump, a big spike back in that baby.
Boy, it's so funny. You look at some of the statistics of this game, you see the score. I mean, this game is like having an entire game offensively in a hand. I mean,
don't go to the refrigerator because you may miss something. They're at the line of scrimmage. Paul Smith barking out signals. UCF trying to get as much rest as they can between plays, but I'll tell you, there's not a lot of time to get a breather.
Out of the flat, hit immediately, Clay, and that was busted up by John L. Neal.
Well, he was the team's top tackler a year ago out on the edge at the cornerback position, John L. Neal, and just going to wait for Charles Clay right there, trying to catch one, and he catches him right under the shoulder pads, right about where you got to disengage a guy. Listen to this. Shoulder pads start clacking.
Now, the last time that Jared Tracy attempted a field goal, it was here, October the 20th. He has missed a PAT today. 5 weeks without even an attempt. And he temporarily silences this crowd. He is now 7 out of 12 on the season in field goals for that 32-yarder. Boy, you feel like you're almost let down when you see a field goal in this game with the way these offenses are moving.
I tell you, I'm impressed with the job that UCF has done defensively, because right about now, Tulsa, the way they've been kind of hitting on all cylinders the last couple of weeks. They put up 49 points on Tulane, 56 on Houston, 49, and then 48 respectively against Army and Rice in consecutive weeks. And to kind of be held to just 23 points here in the first half of this one, they're flying kind of under their average a little bit.
Well, tonight there's a game that all college football fans are going to be very, very eager to watch. For more on that, we turn to Brent Musburger.
Record for touchdown passes in a season this year with 32. Colt McCoy said it last year. Sam Bradford came right back and reestablished it.
And smartly played. No sense in trying to make too much out of that time. And once again, Stephen Baker with his second field of a kickoff return. Now, UCF has 2 timeouts left. It's not their nature to run the offense like Tulsa does, but Israel's thrown the ball pretty well today. Or do you just keep handing off 24 and wait for the bust one?
Yeah, well, you have 2 timeouts, so you're okay in that department. You can still run the football, and you get a couple of big plays in the run game. You're okay. You call a timeout or 2, and you could just kind of run your offense with 1:35, and the clock's going to stop as the chains move for first downs anyway.
And that's what they do. Well, look at the balance on that, how easily. Well, a lot of guys might have had a hard time making that little turn. No problem at all.
Here's where you know a good football player or a good basketball player, a guy in any sport, when it just looks easy. When it looks like he's just gliding and everybody else is providing effort. Watch how effortless it looks to him as you watch him run the football. That's exactly what I watched for 4 years playing in the same backfield with Barry Sanders. He made it look so easy when everybody else was just all out trying to stop him.
We've got a good field goal kicker, too, in Torres. That play made it look a little bit more difficult, though, by the interior of the Tulsa D. And Brandon Jones, a senior from Duncanville, Texas, stopping at least temporarily Kevin Smith.
And you know what, as well, you want to eat and chew as much time as you possibly can off that clock, because you don't want Tulsa, who can go down and score in a hurry on you. You don't want to leave them anything at the end of the first half.
And batted down. Nice defense that time by Moton Hopkins.
Well, the fans booing. I'm not sure why. Maybe they want to see Kevin Smith run the football. But Kyle Israel, see here, trying to check it down, get it to him any way you possibly can out in some space. And Moton Hopkins, big junior defensive end, gets that left hand on the ball.
Haven't seen UCF in too many third and longs lately because of the running of Smith.
Well, you got to be careful here, though, because you don't convert, you punt it, and then you're going to leave some time on the clock with a timeout for Tulsa's offense.
Israel has run the ball well, but he will not get the first down.
Well,
now, Tulsa has a timeout here. Do you use it?
I think you're going to have to, because if you're George O'Leary, you're going to want to run about as much as you possibly can and force Todd Graham. And right there, he's going to force him to take the final timeout. So, boy, this is a nice little chess match. If you're George O'Leary, you got one of the best backs in the country in Kevin Smith, averaging 5.8 yards a carry coming in. Right about that on the afternoon. Do you give it to him, turn around and give it to him, let him pick up 3 yards for you?
Well, Win and You're In Saturday continues on ESPN and ESPN2 in prime time. First on ESPN at 7:45 Eastern. Pat White, Steve Slayton, and the West Virginia Mountaineers hope to lock up a spot on the BCS championship game when they host Pittsburgh in the Backyard Brawl. And at 8 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2, Arizona State will look to secure a spot on the Fiesta Bowl if they can get past the Arizona Wildcats. College football primetime presented by Hampton Hotels at 7:45 Eastern on ESPN. And college football primetime presented by GoDaddy.com at 8 Eastern on ESPN2.
You look at the BCS standings here. Missouri able to jump West Virginia last week, but I got a feeling West Virginia going to defeat Pitt today. They're going to have to find themselves in the national championship game. And just from an individual standpoint, Pat White got a chance to know that young man this season. He and Steve Slayton, I couldn't be impressed more with their personalities and character of those two college football players at West Virginia. Outstanding young men.
Well, Andre, here's a word I haven't said in a while. Punt. First one since the 7:52 mark of the first quarter. And it is really well covered. They down it at the 2. Fantastic job. Are they going to call it a touchback? No, I see the touchback signal. So the officials, and this will not go over well in that end zone full of students, but they'll take it out to the 20-yard line.
You just got to know where you are on the field. And you go into the end zone, come back out, try to knock it back.
Touchback, ball placed in the 20, first down.
Excuse me, Robinson Jean actually goes into the end zone. Here we are. The cornerback goes into the end zone. Jonell Neal trying to knock it out. And this one's going to be set up at the 20-yard line for Tulsa with enough time.
38 is not much for them. Well, that was a dangerous throw. You could see Neal break on the football. And for a second, there was the risk of an interception there.
He got tremendous pressure from Bruce Miller off the edge. Bruce Miller came into this game with 6 sacks. Second team Conference USA this year. He moved to linebacker from defensive end in the spring. Gives him a little bigger body and some tremendous speed off the edge. He's had a nice season for a freshman.
Tulsa has had 5 touchdown drives under 30 seconds. They might play a little conservatively there, and they may just go ahead and run out the clock.
Well, you take a shot on first down. You don't want anything bad to happen. You don't want to subject Paul Smith to an injury, trying to keep the football in his hands maybe a little bit too long. You know the defense has their ears pinned back. So a couple of scores down, you go into halftime and you talk about it. Come out and try to give it a run in the second half.
54 points and 578 yards of offense in the first half, folks. We aren't kidding. Our halftime score is UCF 31, Tulsa 23.
Plenty of action left.
Aaron Andrews?
Well, Coach, I know you said before the game you can't stop Kevin Smith, but what adjustment do you make in the second half against him?
Well, you know, we've done pretty good other than letting him get the big long run. And, you know, he's a tough guy. You just got to try to control him. You know, just had a real stupid penalty there, having 12 guys on the field, or the game would be 1 point. So feel good about getting the ball second half. It's going to be a 60-minute game. We got a great chance to win this thing.
How do you think your defense is dealing with the heat and the noise so far?
I think the defense has handled it a lot better than our offense. You know, we had 3 stupid penalties to start the game. We've got to eliminate that. We're going to be fine.
Coach, thank you.
Once again, our score is UCF 31 and Tulsa 23. Now let's join Reese Davis, Lou Holtz, and Mark May for the Pontiac Performance Halftime Report. Welcome back to Jimmy V Week on ESPN as we continue our commitment to the V Foundation for Cancer Research in tribute to Jim Valvano and his dream to defeat cancer. It's ESPN College Football presented by Cars.com, an explosive Conference USA championship game here at Bright House Network Stadium and the UCF campus. Unbelievable. You know, you remember Mad Magazine Spy versus Spy?
Yeah.
We have today Smith versus Smith, Paul Smith and Kevin Smith, and Andre, as advertised, these two have been absolutely spectacular.
Well, 2 guys that do it in totally different ways. Paul Smith's going to do it with his arm in the air. We talked about the 12 games of 300 or more yards passing, and then Kevin Smith, 11 of 12 games where he has gone over, you know, done an outstanding job in those games as well. So you look here today, 161 yards on the ground, right, actually over the average of his first half average for the season, and then Paul Smith providing or keeping Tulsa in the game with 278 yards and 3 touchdowns in the air. 2 totally different teams in the ways they go about their business, but effective for both sidelines.
So Todd Graham, I don't know what he says to his defense about trying to stop Kevin Smith. He talked to Aaron Andrews coming off the field, and he said we got to do a better job. Well, yes, but what?
Well, they started a little bit slow, and it was because of the job that UCF was doing defensively against Paul Smith and the Tulsa offense.
This is Roberts after the short kickoff. He has a punt return for a touchdown that really stands as the difference in this game for all the talk of Paul and Kevin Smith in this one. It was the Roberts punt return that made a difference as we join Aaron Andrews on the field.
Dave, I had a chance to speak with UCF head coach George O'Leary coming out of the locker room, and he said, believe it or not, on offense, he wants to throw the ball a little bit more in the second half. I said, Coach, what are you talking about? Kevin Smith's been the man for you. He said, nope, 96 yards, that's not going to cut it. Guys, an injury update for UCF's defense. Their linebacker, Corey Hogue, out with a broken arm. That means Lawrence Young, the freshman, steps in to start for him.
Thank you, Aaron. Let me fix one thing. Joe Burnett was the one who ran back the punt, not Roberts. So I want to let the Burnett family out of it. And immediately, we see Tulsa go to the ground. And they go to Terry and Adams. Rashad on the stop for Central Florida for UCF.
Well, Terry and Adams has done the job on the ground for Tulsa and taken some heat off Paul Smith, especially when he was struggling early in this ball game. They went to Terry and Adams, was able to provide a spark, which allowed Paul Smith to simmer down a little bit, get his nerves calmed, and then he's been spectacular there since.
Tulsa brings in the #1 ranked offense in the NCAA. Quick execution, good block on the throw to Clay. Nice job there by Jesse Meyer, 84 on the block, as we take a look at what Paul Smith has done so far.
Right, Paul Smith, you see him here when he rolls to his left and throws a nice ball in the back of the end zone of the first touchdown pass to Charles Clay, and then the touch. He shows you that he's got the touch to go along with it to Jay Collins. And then right here, the easy just throw and catch to Trey Johnson, alone in the end zone himself. He has been magical. He's made every throw in this football game.
But what a fun call this must be for Gus Malzahn, the coordinator, giving 2nd and 1. Down the middle. And Adams showing good hands and good moves. Takes a hit, too. Took 3 tacklers to bring him down that time. Lost his hat, but he ends up being a sportsman about the whole thing. It's another first down for Tulsa.
Well, the first thing you have to do is, or have to be able to do in an offense of this type, if you're Paul Smith, is recognize coverages, whether it's zone or man, and then where defenders are lining up. And he does an excellent job of identifying some nice deep drops on that play. Finds Terry and Adams over the middle for a huge completion. Well, you're going to stay pat. You see, they're not moving around in that secondary for UCF. They're just kind of lining up and playing their hand. This allows Paul Smith to really identify early what he wants to do with the football.
A couple of more yards for Adams that time. And he was hit right away by Sholigan. And a tradition for Tulsa football this year, Paul Smith cracking the 300-yard mark. And tell you what, it's happened again. Every game he has played this season.
Well, that is executing relatively well, 61% on the season. And now with 42 touchdown passes. And that's playing the position.
Tried to play action, and I don't think he wanted to run the football. Maybe he would have been better off doing it, as Adams was very well covered that time by Lawrence Young, a freshman from the Panhandle of Florida, Pensacola.
Yeah, Lawrence Young is filling in, the freshman. He's filling in for Corey Hugh, who's out of this game. Corey Hugh was Conference USA's Defensive Player of the Week last week with a career-high 13 tackles. He finds himself on the sideline watching the youngster, Lawrence Young, make some plays defensively for UCF. Well, you don't want, if you're UCF, Tulsa to come out in the first drive of the second half and pace you with some points and gain the momentum of this football game. So you want to turn them away or at least hold them to a field goal here.
Good pressure up the middle and a solid sack. Smith bobbled the ball momentarily. And it's Lawrence Young who makes two big plays on that drive.
Well, the youngster.
For Corey Ho.
That's right, the youngster as well, maybe even taking Tulsa out of field goal range here. They come with a blitz, and you're going to see it right there. He gets freed up, working against Tadarian Adams, and he wins that battle, going right over the top of him on his way to Paul Smith. And I'll tell you what, 2 consecutive plays, the youngster Lawrence Young has stepped up for this UCF defense.
And that's when you know you're building a program.
Yeah.
When you can go to your second stringers and they can make plays like that.
The depth that they have, or they're starting to accumulate at UCF, has been tremendous for George O'Leary.
Now remember, Paul Smith has already punted once in this game, and on another instance, faked a punt and got a big play out of it.
Well, they're going to call a timeout, take a timeout and talk about it. Gus Malzahn and Todd Graham, the head coach, want to visit with this one. We'll come back with UCF ahead, 31-23 over Tulsa.
There's your score and time for the Conference USA Championship game. Third such championship game in conference history. Now, Andre, during the break, Aaron Andrews called us to say that Paul Smith was on the sideline during that timeout, shaking out that right wrist. May have fallen awkwardly on that.
Yeah, Lawrence Young as well as Darius Nall in on that last play on Paul Smith, but they're going to indeed go for it here on 4th down and 17.
Going in for it all on 4th down and 17, and it's intercepted. And in a way, that gains yards for Tulsa. Not in a way, it does.
You know, you say that, and I agree with you 100%. You're going to lose about 10 yards of field position here, but just what it does for you in a momentum standpoint, and a guy making a play in the secondary, you know, if you're a coach, you tell him, hey, you joke with him about, hey, you maybe let that one go, we get better field position, but you just can't judge what it does for your football team in terms of momentum, the momentum swing of getting a turnover. 2
interceptions for John L. Neal, 5 on the season. Great pressure again from Bruce Miller, only a freshman on that right end position. And now we take a look at Kevin Smith's 401st carry as he approaches Marcus Allen's all-time NCAA record, done in fewer games, but 3 more carries, and Kevin Smith will be the all-time leader.
Yeah, and he's got another game in which to add on to that, Dave. And Anthony Germany, talking to Todd Graham, is a pretty good football player, one of their top players defensively, and Kevin Smith just ran through the tackle of Anthony Germany. Luckily, there were a couple of other Hurricanes there to rally up and make a tackle on Kevin Smith, but he's getting better as the game grows older.
And he will just continue to get the ball for the rest of the afternoon. And there's a good example of what you talked about making it look easy. That was a stressful run. It wasn't very easy, but he got to just about the marker. There's a flag down behind the play. We haven't had a lot of penalties in the game, although we had one that erased a Tulsa touchdown in the first half.
I think it's going to be holding against the tight end opposite the side that Kevin Smith was running. Corey Rabazinski, number 84, thrown right in his area here. Left tackle Patrick Brown.
We have 2 fouls in the play. Holding, number 65 on the offense, is declined. Holding, number 85 on the offense. It's a 10-yard penalty. Replay, second down.
Actually, it was the other tight end, Mike Merritt, who was holding. And going to back up UCF. So now it's second down and long, and this is where they don't want to be. And when you talk to Paul Randolph and Keith Patterson, co-defensive coordinators for Tulsa, this is where they wanted to start the game, get UCF in long yardage situations, certainly when it's second down.
Tulsa blitzing from the edge, but time for Israel, and boy, that was nearly a disaster for UCF. Going to bring up third down and 12. Anthony Germany providing the pressure.
Yeah, John Bell was able to get a hand on that, but Kevin Smith only 2 carries away right now from Marcus Allen's record that he set back in 1981. Right now 4:01, the record's 4:03 from tying it. So you expect him with a lot of time left here in the second half of this ball game. He is going to shatter that one and then continue to build upon it in about a week or so. I guess the better question is, does he catch Barry Sanders and the single-season all-time record at over 2,600 yards?
And 39 touchdowns Sanders had that year. Tulsa defense trying to make a big play, and they didn't need to as the pass skitters off the hands of Ross. So this would be the worst field position for UCF to punt from today.
Yeah, Rocky Ross, that one just kind of, he's usually a sure-handed receiver, a guy that makes a lot of plays. They line him up everywhere. They kind of label him as Mr. Consistency because he just gets the job done from wherever there. A little short-handed on that reception.
Blingen's punt high. Side spin to it. Trey Johnson makes a quick fair catch signal, and he'll give Tulsa's Golden Hurricane offense very good field position at the 39. So Kevin Smith sits. Paul Smith will play. Amazingly, we haven't had any points in this quarter yet.
ESPN's college football. Brought to you by Olivia, award-winning high-definition television. Clean Exchange, the only electric shaver with a disposable head. Clean Exchange, new from Remington. And Nationwide. Nationwide is on your side.
New facilities at UCF, new stadium, new press box. You saw the indoor practice facility, and let me tell you, in the August heat and the humidity and the thunderstorms around here and the lightning, not a bad idea to have one of those. I believe that's the only, amazingly, that is the only school in Florida with something like that.
That's a surprise.
Adams, and that play just strung out by the UCF defense. Nicely done. And once again, Lawrence Young in there along with Chance Henderson and Derek Hallman. So let's take a look at a college football powerhouse state, these old Sunshine State, see how the big boys are doing. Of course, UCF sitting here at 9-3. Defending national champs on top. We'll get more of that in a second, but Tulsa doesn't always give you a whole lot of time in between plays as they complete it to Brennan Marion. And it looks like they're going to be a little short of the first down. Now, moving on down the list, you see Miami there at 5-7. Florida International trying to play in the final college football game today in the Orange Bowl to avoid 23, I believe it is, straight losses.
Boy, you really don't get used to that.
No.
Miami down at 5-7 and at the bottom of the schools, right down there just ahead of Florida International for the least amount of wins in schools in Florida. That's something I got a feeling that Randy Shannon's gonna fix this offseason.
And it's a first down and a little bit more as Antonio Wallace at the top. And once again, Lawrence Young underneath. Man, he has come in and replaced Corey Hogue, who's out for the game, as Aaron told us earlier, with a broken arm. And Young has been in on almost every play.
I think you hit the nail on the head when you start talking about building depth. Antonio Wallace in there as well, along with Lawrence Young. But you start to build depth where one guy goes out and it's the next man up, and there's no fall off. All of a sudden that guy comes in, he starts making plays right away.
Smith scrambling, testing the middle of the field, and incomplete. And maybe if Neal times that jump a little better, he has his third pick of the afternoon.
Or if Brennan Marion is able to adjust a little bit faster, he's running because of the missed time jump by Janelle Neal. You see him right here trying to hit him on a post route over the top. He got a little pressure in his face, Paul Smith, but that one's thrown well behind the intended receiver, Marion. Janelle Neal had a chance if he would have just timed it just right, like you said, Dave, to come up with his second interception.
I also wonder if this combination of sun, as this play is going to be a loss, well covered that time by the Knights defense. Rashad shoving Clay out of bounds. They turned the lights on here about 45 minutes ago. We had an overcast sky right around kickoff. Well, you can obviously see what's happened to our weather. I wonder if that may have been a problem on the field.
Yeah, now it's you adjust to the darkness of what was going on, and now it's light everywhere with the sun shining through, and the clouds have cleared out here. Certainly as a receiver, if you're looking back into the sun, that has an effect on you when you're trying to catch the football down the field.
Smith given way too much time and a deflection, and it's going to work out as Trey Johnson benefits from a very fortunate break. As that time Paul Smith threw into coverage. Hallman tipped it, but it winds up in the hands of Trey Johnson for a Golden Hurricane first down.
Well, the outside linebacker Derek Hallman's going to get a hand on this football, but tremendous concentration by Trey Johnson. It's just a nice little in route in the middle of the field. He gets tipped. He's still right there. Johnny on the spot, or Trey on the spot, and comes up with a nice reception for a first down.
Adams, and that play has not really resulted in a lot of yards. That little sort of a mini stretch play out to the right, and it's not much there. Henderson on the stop for George O'Leary's defense.
Boy, they came with a blitz, the last completion to Trey Johnson, and they actually, Tulsa, able to pick everything up and allow for just a split second more time for Paul Smith to get that football out and out to Trey Johnson. And that's what happens when you gamble and you don't get there. A guy like Paul Johnson, a senior quarterback, good leader, he is going to make you pay.
He hung in that time, going for Johnson, and just missed. The pass came out a little funny out of his hand, and will set up another third down and long. As we take a closer look at the senior from Owasso, Oklahoma, Paul Smith.
Let me see him here. I tell you, he has done a fantastic job. He leads this football team. Guys, you know, without even really having to try to do it, they just follow Paul Smith. And he's had some shots down the field, a couple of occasions, one-on-one coverage for big plays, and he hadn't hit one yet. Just been a little bit off the mark in this football game.
And you wonder if they don't make it here, Andre, depending on the yardage left, do they have Smith stay in and punt, or do they just go for it?
Well, you go for about half of it here, and then you set up on fourth down to go for it again. Here comes the blitz.
Covered a little high. Good coverage that time. Provided by Jason Benson on the receiver Clay out of that H-back, sort of a hybrid fullback H-back slot. Smith, a little off on the throws here on this one.
Yeah, ever since we got that report from Aaron Andrews about Paul Smith and shaking that wrist, a little banged up on a sack that when Lawrence Young came in the possession before, he has been a little shaky on this drive. He got a little pressure from Bruce Miller, the freshman defensive end, but still way high and outside from Paul Smith, not what we're used to seeing.
Now remember, he does punt and punt well. So he may just take this out of the shotgun and get rid of it with his foot. And that's kind of an unusual formation to run a play out of, isn't it?
I think they're getting ready to punt this football.
Or not. First down. Well, I know he likes indoor air quality, but he's a pretty good actor, too.
That's it. Nice. This one he acts, you know, acts as if he's going to punt the football. They line up. You see the guys kind of tucked in and looking outside here. Now that creates the one-on-one matchup. Get to the first down marker and look at that arm strength. A nice shot before Janelle Neal, the corner to that side, can even react to the football. He shoots it out there to Cameron Clemens for a first down.
Now, he wasn't quite at the far hash, but that's kind of the throw you were talking about earlier in the broadcast. Shows the patience again and wisely throws that one away, but a lot of other guys would have hung in there and tried to make a play when there was none. He recognized there was none, so brings up second down and 10, trying to get it to Cody Madison.
Well, Lachey usable there on the pressure. Left defensive end in the face of Paul Smith, and still, you know, having a pretty good day. We talk about, you know, not used to seeing it. 23 of 38 is not a bad day for most quarterbacks. We're just used to seeing a little bit better day from Paul Smith.
Well, there's something unusual here, Andre. This is the 12th play of the drive for Tulsa. That's long for them. The 13th play is coming up, and it's going to be done on 3rd and long following the sack by Derek Hallman.
Well, they are flying around defensively, and, you know, we talked a little bit about it, Dave, about if you bring pressure, you better get there on Paul Smith. Well, they're getting there now, and if they're not getting there, they're at least disrupting him where he has to step up in the pocket and throw the football a little earlier than he wants to, and the accuracy just hasn't been there for him, especially on this drive.
You have to watch the pressure from the backside, and that's going to be picked off again. That's Jason Benson with some room. Got a nice block. Benson still going, and now he tripped when he had the open field. After all that.
It was Jake Collins that made him cut this back, and that caused Jason Benson to kind of trip up or trip over his own feet. He was gone. Otherwise, you see him react to the football, slip down, get up and make a nice play. And now it's like a punt return. But find that wall, and they set it up just perfectly, and they cut back right here. The big offensive lineman, Jody Wiley, as well, forcing him back inside. But he was absolutely gone had he just been able to keep his footing.
That would have been a 100-yard return. Here's Kevin Smith, and boy, he ran right into Germany. A solid senior playing what they call the spur position, sort of a safety position, I guess you call it.
Yeah, Paul Smith, the first time these two faced off, he threw 4 interceptions. Today, he's thrown 3, and guess what? It was in a loss to UCF, who really controlled that game with a running game behind Kevin Smith. And if you start turning the football over, they are a team that can control the clock. They can run the football effectively with Kevin Smith, and what most importantly, they limit your turns on the field, your possessions, to score. So Tulsa right now better get some things ironed out with their quarterback, Paul Smith.
George Clinkscale being looked at, the Tulsa end, the sophomore from Cedar Hill, Texas. That's the reason for the delay.
Yeah, he was having some issues coming into this game. He wasn't sure how much he was going to play. He was, you know, he had, looks like it may be cramps there. I know he had some shoulder surgery and was limited in spring ball, but he bounced back from that. But the next Kevin Smith carry will tie the great Marcus Allen. Carries in a season, the most carries in a season for a running back.
Second down and 10.
Second down and 10 for, we've no score. That's the amazing part. After the first half, we've had no score in this third quarter. Going deep, has a man open. Inside the 10, Kamar Aiken, the freshman from Hollywood, Florida, near Fort Lauderdale. Got behind the defense and is down inside the 10 of the 8-yard line, a 32-yard play.
When you run the football like UCF has been able to do, this is going to open up some stuff on the outside edges, some one-on-one coverage as you pack the box to stop the run. Now it's just one-on-one coverage between Aikman and Roy Roberts on that side. He gets completely behind the corner. If this ball is thrown out in front, he's going to dance in the end zone.
No shock to see Smith get that record-tying carry right there. Got a nice block. Down to the 2, maybe inside of there, closer to the 1-yard line. Davis sat on him, but he got a terrific block to make that possible.
Yeah, I think the thing that impresses me about a guy like Kevin Smith, he's a long strider, but he's able to put that foot in the ground and change directions as fast as any back I've seen this year. And you just can't help but be impressed with the numbers. Look at that, 2,340 yards on the ground with a record-tying, single-season record-tying of Marcus Allen in the carries department, and now just breaking that record.
Trying to break the plane of the end zone, but Tulsa's defense stiffens. No gain on the play. Chamberlain in there. There's Mom, Pam.
Yeah. You think she knows? You think she's keeping count? I can guarantee you she knows exactly how many carries that he has in this ball game and on the season as well.
I think she's just trying to will him into the end zone right now.
People tell you, I'm your biggest fan. No, there's his biggest fan. It's Miss Pam Smith that's sitting close to this field. She's running touchdowns with her son all afternoon long.
She may need a post-game IV to avoid
some dehydration. That's right.
They go to the money back. Wow, we don't see that happen very often. What a surge by the interior of the line. Terrell Nimmons, 99, the nose guard, just absolutely stood his ground there.
But Tulsa just absolutely going to sell out on the stopping the run on this play. You look at all the bodies here. Now it's just getting leverage and getting low, and they get tremendous push in the middle of that. Terrell Nimmons, big guy in the middle of that formation, kind of ripe for a play action and a little dump over the top to the tight end.
Not only does she run the plays,
so you get all the reactions. That's right. You get all the reactions from Mom.
All right. Michael Torres on for a angled 21-yarder. Tough angle, no problem. He's made 14 straight field goals. Our first points of the third quarter come on a field goal. Is for the first time really all day, Tulsa kept Kevin Smith out of the end zone.
Welcome back to Orlando. UCF leading Tulsa right now 34-23. We spoke earlier about how quarterback Paul Smith has been pretty banged up. He's been favoring his throwing wrist, and then right as he threw his last interception, his third interception of the day, he took a pretty big hit, guys. He hit his head pretty hard. I've been monitoring him on the sidelines. Not only is he favoring that wrist, his knee, his left knee looks to be giving him a problem, and he's kind of been grabbing like around his temples area. I don't know if he's trying to shake the cobwebs off, catch his wind back, but he has been roughed up all day long, Dave.
Yeah, good stuff there, Aaron.
Another low bullet kick, and look at that. That by Roberts off his hands, and that's going to be very poor field position for the Golden Hurricane at the 15-yard line as they try to get an offense going that, you know, they had their longest drive, anybody's longest drive of the game, Andre. They hit for 13 plays and wound up with 0.
Yeah, and I'll note and kind of tag Aaron's story as well. All 3 of Paul Smith's interceptions have come after a sack. So that tells me he's starting to feel the pressure and starting to force the football into some coverage, and all of the result have been the 3 interceptions.
But he's thrown 7 interceptions to UCF this season because he had 4 in the second half of their earlier meeting. Won by UCF here October 20th, 44-23. The tailback there is Jamad Williams. He got a look early in the game and hasn't played much since then. Hallman in there. Well, you're right about something, Andre. You look at the youth of the UCF defense. Hallman, a freshman. Henderson, 54, a sophomore middle linebacker. Lawrence Young in for Hogue, who was a junior, but Young is a freshman. He's played great. Yeah, Bruce Miller, 49, putting on pressure all day. He's a freshman.
And when we talked to George O'Leary yesterday, he said he thought next year would be the magical year for UCF. He didn't envision being in the conference championship game this year, but you know what? He'll take it.
Trey Johnson. Well, just think, his first year here, he was 0-11, coming off of a 3-7 year from Mike Kruzek. And in that time, since 2004, they have a brand new stadium, brand new facilities, which we showed you, the only college football team in Florida with an indoor practice facility. And here they are trying to win their first conference championship against the university that has 34 conference championships in Tulsa.
We talked about him about the recruiting as well in that first year. He said he had 2 weeks to basically put together a recruiting class, and he got, you know, about 6 starters out of it, so that was an added bonus.
Boy, for a second, Smith had a moment down the field, but he is sacked for the 5th time today. And they're yelling "do" for Douzable, Leger Douzable.
Well, Leger Douzable, first team all-conference this year. And you're going to watch him just in the middle of your screen get tremendous pressure. He keeps working, kind of disengages from Justin Morsey, their right guard, and all of a sudden, there it is. Little celebration. Just a quiet one, though. Can't get too loud in college.
Michael Such in to punt. And be careful, Joe Burnett has busted one already today.
Well, they have got all-conference players up and down this roster, Joe Burnett being one.
That's not a good punt. That's a hook. Now let's see where the official spots this. He's getting a lot of help from the Knights bench right now as to where that football ought to be. Well, let's take a look at George O'Leary and his short and extremely successful, I think you'd have to call it, tenure. This is his 2nd conference championship game in Orlando. The timeline shows that, of course, he had a great run at Georgia Tech. Nothing wrong with what he did there. And then the Irish fans were excited. And then they found a little discrep on his resume. The shortest tenure in Notre Dame history.
Yeah, had to resign in 5 days. He took the job as the defensive coordinator in Minnesota. And all of a sudden, he was here in 04. He goes 0-11. And right now, find himself back in the Conference USA Championship game.
And getting the ball, perhaps the finest running back in the country. Now, I realize Kevin Smith, I mean, I know you were a big Darren McFadden guy, and you have been all year long, but how about the fact that Kevin Smith, with all these amazing numbers, and I don't really care what conference he's done it in, didn't get through to the Doak Walker finalists?
I think, you know, it's a tragedy. I mean, there's somebody there at the Doak Walker, whoever puts that on, dropped the ball on this one. How can you go and let a guy rush for over 2,000 yards, only the 13th player in history to do it, and he's not invited to the ceremony? That to me is unbelievable.
That is a sweet move. That was kind of a Barry Sanders-like little spin. Ends up getting about a half a yard on the play. Hopkins in there on the stop. And he has passed Marcus Allen twice in this half. First for the most carries in a season all time, and now he's passed him #2 all time in a single season rush yards.
Yeah, you see the yards right there. Marcus Allen 23-42. Now Kevin Smith 2,345 yards, and is trying to zero in on this guy, on Barry Sanders. I would not be surprised with a bowl game to play and an entire quarter left in this game.
The winner of this game will be the Conference USA champions, and will go to the AutoZone Liberty Bowl in Memphis. And the loser of this game, it's not completely clear what bowl game they may be invited to.
Maybe the GMAC down in Mobile. Not quite sure yet. And boy, I'll tell you, you have to talk about drinking a little Gatorade. He has carried the football in a workman's type effort today and still delivering for this UCF football team.
Even with Tulsa's offense, Andre, and we know how quick they can score, I think they've got to get a stop here on this drive and keep him out of the end zone. Flag down behind the play. That may be one way to keep UCF out of the end zone, is to call a penalty on the Knights. And it came from the referee.
So many guys starting to creep into that box for Tulsa. And with their attention on Kevin Smith.
Holding on the offense, number 84. It's a 10-yard penalty from the previous spot, and it's still first down.
Now UCF is on a 6-game winning streak to get to this championship game, to get to the Eastern Conference Championship, to win it, I should say. And look at the workload, not just the yards, but the number of carries.
Boy, look what he went down and did to UAB. Jeez, boy, that program upside down right now at UAB. And then, you know, to come in last week against UTEP, 219 yards on the ground. He is something special.
I'll give him a break and go deep. Good coverage that time. Excellent coverage by Roberts as he tried to fit it in there to Rocky Ross, and Roberts with him every step of the way.
Well, Rocky Ross finds himself in one-on-one coverage again with Roy Roberts on the outside, and that's what happens. We keep talking about it. When you can run the football the way Kevin Smith does, all those bodies start to inch in there. 7 in the box, 8 in the box is going to create a natural one-on-one situation on the outside with Roy Roberts. And as you test down the field, even if it's 3-deep zone, it becomes man at some point. A nice adjustment on the part of Roy Roberts.
Little pressure that time. Israel, I think, got rid of that probably a little more quickly than he wanted, and the linesman not going to accede to the wishes of the fans here who wanted a flag, so it brings up 3rd down and 20.
Well, what I like about Kyle Israel is that he's not going to lose this football game by trying to force it into tight situations. I'm going to find handoff to Kevin Smith. I'm going to identify the one-on-one coverage on the outside. I'm going to throw it where my receivers catch the football, or it's going out of bounds or over their heads or something. But he's not going to get beat throwing interceptions into tight spots in this Tulsa defense.
I wouldn't be surprised to see a handoff here.
Nice little draw play, maybe.
No, it will be a nice little draw play with Smith. It's one of the lead blockers, and Israel showing some movement. Picked up 9 there, and if they want to bring Michael Torres in, they certainly made it an easier field goal for him.
Yeah, he's hit a long of 48 yards on the season, so not afraid to allow him the chance to do so. Head coach George O'Leary going to think about it. Yeah, I think that we got a little bit of wind going from left to right on your dial or on your TV, and you know, you look at it and it's behind George O'Leary and his UCF football team right now. So maybe if you're going to try a field goal, you want to capitalize with the wind to your back.
Yeah, why not? You know, with national title hopes on the line, Heisman contender Chase Daniel and #1 ranked Missouri looking to cement their spot in the BCS championship game when they face Sam Bradford and the Oklahoma Sooners. The Dr. Pepper Big 12 championship part of Saturday Night Football presented by Southwest Airlines. Oklahoma v. Missouri tonight at 8 Eastern on ABC and ABC HD. I want a prediction from you, Andre. Who's going to win?
I like Oklahoma.
Why?
I really do, because they're the more physical football team. Missouri, when they have to line up and get physical, they just can't do it. They try to finesse, and I think in a ball game like that against Oklahoma, it may turn into a smash-mouth type deal. I like Oklahoma with a healthy Sam Bradford.
Torres from 45. He has made 2 today and 14 straight. Absolutely no problem. So a nice decision by George O'Leary to put the wind at his kicker's back. And Torres pops in his 3rd field goal of the game, 37-23. And, you know, I haven't really had a chance to spend any time with you this season except for this week. You've been with Dave Pasch all season long, but you invented the Andre Ware Battle Royal, and I get to be around for the finish to see who gets tossed over the top rope.
Well, we had some fun with this baby all year long, and survival of the fittest and who's having the better season, this, that, and the other. And there's a guy that put on quite a performance last week. And Dorsey's going to hit the road, and my man D. Mack is going to win the Heisman Battle Royal. Now, we're going to keep it a secret in terms of the ballot, but, you know, it may be Darren McFadden.
For your vote?
Yeah, I like him. I think he's done a fabulous job. His entire passing game basically transferred to the West Coast out to USC, and he was still able to accomplish what he did this week. Beat the #1 team in the nation a week ago in LSU, and I think you've got to take your hat off to him. I think that's who very well may get my vote, is Darren McFadden.
You realize what state you're in, though, right?
I realize it, and I understand that the job that the young man just up the road from here has done as well.
So this will be the last play of a scoreless 3rd quarter for Tulsa. This was UCF doing it with their defense, holding the #1 offense in the nation without a point. That offense has got to get geared up, or UCF will get their first ever conference title. This telecast is available on ESPN HD, presented by Pioneer Kuro HD TV. With Andre Ware and Aaron Andrews, I'm Dave Lamont, and this is an unusual number to look at after that crazy first half we had. Tulsa, the #1 offense in the country, no points in the 3rd quarter. They have accumulated over 100 points in every quarter this season. They wound up with an egg in that 3rd quarter, and they get off to a poor start with the first play here in the 4th quarter.
Well, as you watch Paul Smith, it's kind of obvious to me that he is not 100%, throwing the ball a little bit high. He was outside on that throw, you know, but he's a senior quarterback. He's trying to gut it out for his football team, and you know, if you could just find a little bit of spark and maybe kind of grind your way through it, that's all he's hoping for right now.
Pressure from up the middle, and probably a miscommunication, I would think, between he and Charles Clay there.
Yeah, maybe thinking he was going to cut outside. Charles Clay went to the inside, and he had some heat up the middle from Travis Timmons, sophomore defensive tackle, who shook himself free. And Paul Smith finds himself in another 3rd down and long situation for his offense, and a very, very hostile, noisy crowd.
Tulsa 6 of 15 on 3rd down. That's well under their normal percentage of 49. Race to the chains, and Adams leaping for it, and he'll get it. Great effort by Terry and Adams.
Well, a very well-designed play as well to get Adams out of the backfield. A lot of deep drops by Joe Burnett in that entire secondary for UCF. You're going to see just the zone drops as the linebacker split here, and just leaking the back out of the backfield, finding him in open space. And now it's just get up, get north and south, and those shoulder pads pointed north and south.
They threaten to use Whitmore, and they do. A.J. Whitmore.
He's taken a few snaps from that position before. High school quarterback, moved to receiver once he got to Tulsa. So a nice direct snap and try to get something cheap on a little quarterback draw to A.J. Whitmore.
Henderson with his 5th tackle of the game.
UCF right now just inclined to play a lot of zone coverage, keep everything in front of him, and hope that his clock continues to run, limiting the time on the clock for Tulsa.
That's Adams. And that time looked to be a little bit short of the first down marker. Henderson in there again. Well, you mentioned Paul Smith. Aaron's talked about how he may be a little bit nicked up. But let's compare his numbers in the first half to where we are now.
Well, you know, he got off to that slow start, and then 17 to 26. That's slow to most, you know. It's okay for most people, but not for Paul Smith. And 8 of 17 here in the second half of this game. 2 interceptions, 3 on the afternoon. I think that's been the biggest difference, is they're driving down, you know, in nice field position of the UCF, and then he throws a pick.
He fights for the extra.
I don't think he got it.
I think he did, based on the little push he had after the first time he was hit, the second effort. And they are going to move the chains.
Well, they gave him the forward progress is what happened.
Yeah, they did. I think that's the right call. I really do.
They turned him around.
This is the Bright House Networks Conference USA Championship at Bright House Network Stadium in Orlando on the UCF campus. I'm Dave Lamont, joined upstairs by Andre Ware, and Aaron Andrews is on the field. The winner of this game will be going to the AutoZone Liberty Bowl in Memphis. And the runner-up will be going to a bowl. But some speculation that maybe Tulsa would go to Hawaii, possibly.
Yeah.
Or perhaps if UCF can't hang on, they'll go to the GMAC Bowl. Tell you what, whoever gets either of these teams are going to get some tremendous talent.
They're going to get 60 minutes of football is what they're going to get.
How about this, Andre? Tulsa with just 1 timeout left and 12:55 to go in this 4th quarter, and they're down by 14.
It's something we all miss tremendously, just to be entertained for hours on end with his stories and his sense of humor. And we try to do everything we can to help promote the V Foundation.
ESPN and the V Foundation in the fight against cancer. Call 1-800-4-JIMMY-V or log on to www.jimmyv.org and donate. Hard to believe that he passed away in 1993.
Yeah, you're right.
Man, I can't believe that. More than $70 million to fund cancer research, grants nationwide from that foundation. Incredible. Now, there's A.J. Whitmore in the shotgun. Paul Smith in a receiving position.
Well, he may throw it out to Paul Smith and a little lateral. Nope.
And UCF read it very well on the first down play. Rashad in there for the Knights, and also Chance Henderson yet again.
Kind of makes you scratch your head and ask yourself if Paul Smith is indeed a little more banged up than we believe, because they're trying every possible avenue to create something offensively other than Paul Smith throwing the football down the field.
That's what he's going to try this time. Off his back foot, he chucked that thing down there. Well, there's zero question about arm strength at all.
Well, you know, I don't know how healthy he is and how much the wrist is bothering him or whatever, but fundamentally, he's doing some things that you just don't like to see from your quarterback. And you mentioned it, throwing off the back foot. You know, you want to stand in there. There's no pressure, nobody in his face, and that's what's happened over the course of this football game. He's gotten hit and beaten up a little bit, to where now he's seeing players and that aren't there. He's got a lot of freedom, so he can change whatever Gus Malzahn signals in from the sideline.
The route was jumped that time by Burnett, trying to get it down there to Brennan Marion, and Burnett was all over that. You could see him break on the ball very quickly. Maybe if he's there a step earlier, he picks that off.
Boy, Joe Burnett is a fine football player. Nice corner on the outside, and certainly a top-notch return man. But right here, you see him. That's not bad. You know, it was much worse on the other throw that he tried to go over the middle to Charles Clay on. When he has to step into it, he'll step in and fire it. The shot's down the field where the technique is not sound from Paul Smith.
35% conversions coming into the game on 4th down for the Golden Hurricane. And if they don't get it here, you're going to see Kevin Smith almost exclusively for UCF. But they do get it. Marion, look at the moves. Down to the 2-yard line. Neal finally brought him down, but that was a nice throw, and you see why Brennan Marion averages almost 36 yards a catch.
Well, we used to call this a choice route in the run and shoot, but it's just a timed post route from the outside receiver, and Paul Smith 1, 2, 3, and the ball's going up right now. You get inside position as the wide receiver on the corner. You just lead him with the football, and now it's just off to the races, and an excellent job by Brennan Marion.
32 yards on that 4th and 9 play. And the Adams, and boy, he took a shot and wrestled to the ground by Derek Hallman.
Well, Derek Hallman was a Class 5A state all first team all-state player in the state of Florida. But right here, he's saying, come back. We are not ready to surrender this touchdown. Nice effort defensively by UCF, getting low, winning the leverage battle up front. And that's what you got to have when you get down in the trenches this close, when you're trying to protect your own goal line.
Smith, a little fancy, better get rid of it, and he does the right thing there. That little fake didn't really fool any of the Knights defenders. Pressure coming in that time by Shulligan.
Well, Keith Shulligan right there in the face of Paul Smith. He's not a fast guy, but he's just a relentless, steady player. He's a captain on this football team, and the senior certainly showing up from Edmonton, Alberta.
How about this? Startling stat of the day. That's a shock for the #1 offense in the country. We'll see what happens on their 25th. This is put in. No. Ruled incomplete by the official. Charles Clay did catch it, but he was out of bounds. Now, 4th down and goal.
Well, they tried to quick snap him and get the football to Charles Clay on the outside. Quick snap, and then going to try to touch one in there, and it is out of bounds. Excellent call by the official to that side.
Tulsa has missed an extra point. That's why they're down 14 in this game.
Well, you know, you're starting to limit it as well, Dave. You got to get points. You don't have the timeout in your back pocket as well. So when you get down here, you got to get touchdowns as opposed to taking 3 points.
And look where they're going, into the student section, the noisiest part of the stadium. He was looking for Clay and overthrows it. UCF holds.
And guess who? Once again, the freshman, Bruce Miller, from the defensive end position, number 49, gets in the face of Paul Smith, and he forces a high throw right out of the back of the end zone. UCF going to take over well in their own end of the field.
ESPN's College Football is presented by Cars.com. Find the right car for you. Cars.com. And in part by the new AT&T. Your world delivered.
They used to be called the Golden Knights. Now UCF is just known as the Knights. A lot of building on this campus. They have a new basketball arena. They have a new football stadium, new practice facilities. And maybe something they've never had here either, a football conference title. Not that way. And this is going to be a safety for Tulsa. Unbelievable. Hopkins in there. Chamberlain in there. Israel just flat dropped the football.
Boy, this changes things in a hurry when you have an explosive offense like Tulsa. You need a break, and just at this time, you get it with a fumbled exchange between Kevin Smith and quarterback Kyle Israel. It looked as though it was going to be a bootleg, and he's kind of showing it to Kevin Smith, and he looks back. Maybe he just missed a handoff. And right there, luckily to get on the football in time, is Kyle Israel. Now you're going to kick the football away to Tulsa and Paul Smith, and this is all they needed to get themselves back in this football game.
There's not much that the head coach there, George O'Leary, to your left, can really say to his quarterback at that point.
Oh, I mean, you talk about scoring and you don't have the football. Garrett Tapian right there. He's a inspirational leader, senior outside linebacker for this group, and on the fumble recovery, Colton Hopkins. Now UCF, which seemed like it had a pretty good handle on this football game, getting ready to kick it off to Tulsa and bring Paul Smith back on the field. Still trying to work the kinks out of being a little beaten up in this ball game, Dave.
Yeah, he has not been the Paul Smith we saw in the first half when he threw for over 270 yards. No question, UCF has gotten to him a little bit. That's Trey Johnson. And Roy Roberts, number 10 for Tulsa, has run one back for Tulsa this season at 92 yards. So the free kick following the safety. You see a little effect from that breeze down there. Definitely hung up there. Roberts, and it pops! And boy, just for a second, there was a vision of that going all the way. A big hit made by Reggie Weems as we check in with Reese Davis.
Dave, every week we honor the AT&T ESPN All-America Player of the Week, and we would like for you to be involved. It's really quite easy. All you have to do, text the word VOTE to 87654 on your AT&T wireless phone. You can access the nominees and cast your vote, and also enter for a chance to win a trip to the national championship game in New Orleans.
Hey, Reese, we might just have one for you when this one's done. Last name Smith. Stay tuned for the first name.
That's right. And instead, Paul Smith goes conservative on the ground with it. Lawrence Young with another tackle for UCF. And that time that was Jamad Williams, the reserve for Terry and Adams, getting a couple carries.
How about the job that the youngster's doing right there, Lawrence Young, coming into this football game, and the stage not too big for him. You're right in the conference championship game. You got to step in and do your job. And I tell you what, he has done just that for UCF.
Replacing Corey Hogue, who, as Aaron told us at halftime, out with a broken arm. Smith looping it in there and well covered. Just really nobody open. Trey Johnson was the intended receiver, but you saw two Knights, Burnett and Benson, around there. And it's just not coming very easy for Tulsa right now.
No, there was a point about the second quarter in which Paul Smith, as a quarterback, you look and you search for that rhythm. He started playing with the rhythm, whereas get the football molded, get it out quickly, hitting some high percentage throws. The defense for UCF has taken that away from Paul Smith, and now we see the struggles at the quarterback position for Tulsa.
Does not have the room to run, that's for sure, and he's going to have to. Well, he's stretching out only for an additional yard. Now another decision coming up for Todd Graham, because you see the clock, under 10 minutes now. Fourth down, they've been going for it frequently.
Yeah, Chance Henderson, one of 5 freshmen to earn, starts last year, was the guy who came up with a big-time play on Paul Smith to keep him short of the first down and force the fourth down situation here. But well, I'll tell you, they are giving him all he can handle right now.
Joe Burnett has returned one for a touchdown for the Knights, as Such comes in to punt. A little better field position for UCF as they try to put this game away, and undoubtedly now we're going to get just a constant diet of Kevin Smith.
I don't go with any trickery. I'm not doing any quarterback bootlegs. I'm going to take the football, I'm going to seed it, I'm going to get it to the mesh point and make sure that Kevin Smith gets the football securely to start his run, and that's the shoulders I'm going to ride until 60 minutes of this football game has run off this clock. That's the guy right there I'm going to go to if I'm George O'Leary.
Kevin Smith has had 4 200-yard games already this season, and he's close now. Everybody in the stadium knows what's going to happen, or at least who's going to get the ball. They don't necessarily know what's going to happen. He picks up 6, almost 7 more as Karatapian on the stop. Tulsa was just the one timeout. They used 2 much earlier than they would have liked. I can guarantee you that.
And he showed some flexibility there too, because he was kind of bent up like a pretzel almost, just kind of twisted and turned around in all types of directions. What's he do? Just pops right up. That young body. Got to start popping all kinds of ways. Under the pile. Still laying there for somebody to come scoop me up off the turf, take me into the locker room.
And here's the thing I think could happen, Andre, as Smith gets the first down. And we'll talk more about that, but first we got to check in with our man Reese.
They've got a great basketball game coming up at the bottom of the hour. Jerome Dyson and UConn taking on number 19 Gonzaga. Game being played in Boston. Now, because you guys are playing football a long time, the game's going to start on ESPN Classic at 3:30 Eastern Time.
That is a good one there. UConn. Yeah, they're UConn. I mean, that's all you got to say about that. And Gonzaga always, no longer can they be called a sleeper when you get to college basketball. What I was going to say, Andre, is you get the sense as Tulsa crowds the box and crowds the box, if Smith gets a hole, he could go 80. Or in this case now, 74 to get a touchdown. Now, threat just hangs over this game, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. And, you know, you start gambling defensively, and he's the type of guy that can really hit you with a home run. What I like about him, when we talked to George O'Leary about him yesterday, said when he came in as a freshman, he tried to outspeed everybody. You know, he's a fast back that likes to hit the hole fast. As he's matured, he's slowed down. He's become more of a patient runner, and you kind of see it as he just slides in the backfield, allowing the blocks to take place up front, and then he's got a gear to really hit and get himself through the hole and into the second level of the defense.
Boy, nice footwork that time. The hop to the hole, and maybe to the end zone. And Roberts grabbed the face mask and didn't even stop him. Touchdown! The flags, there's 2 flags on the field. We saw the face mask. We'll see if there's any other penalty.
Let me tell you something. You're witnessing one of next year's Heisman front runners early, right now. He's auditioning. All he's got to do is come back to the University, to Central Florida, to UCF, and he's going to be on everybody's Heisman list. There's no way you can deny that young man of that.
And as they line up for the extra point, you see what the call is going to be. 4 touchdowns for Smith.
Face mask, number 10. Penalty will be assessed on the kickoff. Touchdown.
And trust me, I'm not one to pass out those type of compliments.
No, I would
early.
think not.
Not waiting, especially not this early, but this is a talent that you're getting a chance to see this afternoon.
Oh, that's one of the great signs I've ever seen right there. Oh, that was a 74-yarder, and it is the largest lead of the game for the home team in this one. The Eastern champions are in control as we go back to Connecticut and Reese.
Dave, the Les Miles story has done an about face. Les Miles apparently staying at LSU after ESPN reported this morning he was on his way to Michigan. Miles had this to say at the Georgia Dome earlier today.
There was misinformation on ESPN, and I think it's imperative that I straighten it out. I'm the head coach at LSU. I will be the head coach at LSU. I have no interest in talking to anybody else. I got a championship game to play, and I'm excited about the opportunity of my damn strong football team to play in it. And it's really all I'd like to say. It was unfortunate that I had to address my team with this information this morning, but that being done, I think we'll be ready to play. There'll be no questions from me. I represent me in this issue. Please ask me after. I'm busy. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you, Coach.
Not sure how sincere Les was about that. He's about to kick off the SEC championship game against Tennessee in the Georgia Dome in just a little while. But the latest, Les Miles apparently staying at LSU.
Thank you, Reese. And hey, Reese, you have a great day, too. Well, there you see. Talking about somebody who is having a great day.
Kevin Smith.
Well, you know what's fun, Andre, when you come and we haven't seen him play in person, but there's a lot of talk about him in the area papers, and not so much around the country, where there will be now, but he has performed in front of us. That's what's so exciting.
You know, when you start doing a prep and you start hearing about this kid, I couldn't wait to get down here and see it for my own eyes. You watch him on film, and that's one thing, but you're more important, you know, it's more impressive when you see him in person. Check it out in real speed. That's sensational. Sensational.
With his face mask being jerked, there's Mom right there.
And she's getting close. She's getting closer and closer. I guarantee you she's going to work herself down on that sideline. That's all right being a mama's boy. I'm one myself. That's okay. Hey, when you look up the word workhorse, you're going to see a picture of Kevin Smith right there. 46 carries, 219 yards. Today, 36 carries, 217. That was last week, 46 carries.
And Tulsa goes on the ground and very close to first down now. You saw the Les Miles. By the way, he sounded like Bo Schembechler when he was talking. I know that's just my opinion about his speech patterns and all that. But, all right, do you believe the story is now completely dead about him going or not going to Michigan?
No, I don't believe it's completely dead. I think it's one of those deals where you want to kind of shield your football team and shield the distractions, keep the distractions away from your team so they go out and put forth the best effort tonight. I wouldn't be surprised at all at some point in the next couple of days, Les Miles comes back and he ends up at the University of Michigan.
Now, even after he makes a strong statement like that, I mean, he's going to open himself up to Saban-like ridicule because Nick Saban, every football fan knows what he went through from the South Florida newspapers. So you're saying he's willing to take that hit?
I think he's willing to take the hit. Saban took the hit, and he come through it okay at Alabama. I just think this is one where you don't want the distractions for your football team. You want the best effort in the SEC championship game. So you come out, you do this, but I can guarantee you this is long from being over.
All right. And you may well be right. Tulsa trying to move the football. They have the kind of an offense that moves the ball quickly. Flag coming in there as Williams was dancing around with the football.
You know, we'll get the call here and see what the penalty is indeed on the field.
Illegal block in the back above the waist, number 84. It's a 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Replay, first down.
Well, let's revisit the Andre Ware hardware for this game. And, you know, we've talked a lot about Kevin Smith, but he's got some nice friends.
Yeah, he does. You know, Patrick Brown from left to right, Cliff McCray, the center, Kyle Smith, Josh Senton, Jai Reed, the big offensive line of UCF that provides the running lanes for a guy like Kevin Smith to do his thing. Those are the guys that kind of fly under the radar. They don't get the credit, but, boy, they're certainly proud. Kevin Smith knows why he's able to do the things he's doing.
And he has, in the articles that we read, been very quick to pass along the credit. We have second down and 15 coming up. He doesn't say me, I.
That look right there told a story for Todd Graham, just putting his head down and shaking his head.
Well, look at this for today. School record 320. You know how close he is to, you're not kidding. He needs 192 to get to Barry Sanders' all-time single-season mark.
He's gone for 272 and 219 the last 2 weeks. No reason to believe that he can't get a measly 192 on the ground. Are you kidding me?
Now, to be fair to Barry, his was done in 11 games.
That's right.
Smith will get a 13th game, which at the moment appears to be the AutoZone Liberty Bowl in Memphis. Paul Smith. Well, that's a nice throw. And Clay, I'm so impressed with his ability to find a way to get open so much, but Smith took another big hit.
He took a nice shot from one of their hardest hitters on this football team, and Jason Vincent, the free safety, and big Charles Clay just held on to a nice read. This is the best throw that Paul Smith has made in quite some time. Right down the seam, down the numbers, stepping away from pressure and delivering a nicely thrown football to what you would call as a fullback, but I wouldn't say Charles Clay. He's more of an H-back type that comes in the game for Tulsa.
Well, he's been a big receiver today for the Golden Hurricane. And he kind of rushed that throw just a little bit to Adams as we go back to Reese.
All right, guys, in less than 3 minutes, starting on ESPN Classic, Jeremy Pargo and Gonzaga taking on UConn in Boston. As soon as you guys finish with football, we'll move the Zags and UConn over to ESPN.
Definitely something to look forward to. A couple of teams that have become constant appearances in the NCAA tournament. And there's Clay getting checked out.
He took a big shot from Jason Vincent. That last reception he made. He paid a price for coming down with it.
But the second half in this stadium has not been kind to Tulsa. Going for it all right there with Marion. Wow, he almost got that. Unbelievable. Neal was on the coverage.
But he is just a playmaker. The guy has a sense for the football. And that's the only way you can really describe Brennan Marion. He is a big play guy that has outstanding sense for where the football is. That's almost one heck of a catch. Right there hugging against the sideline. Pretty good coverage by Janelle Neal, the junior cornerback for UCF. And Paul Smith kind of seeing this thing slip away. He's got to have scores. And 3rd and long puts a lot of pressure on him offensively, knowing you're going to see some type of excellent pass rush from the guys up front for UCF.
Pressure from the edge, and Smith is buried. Boy, that came at him in waves. Darius Knoll, Antonio Wallace, Duzable in there.
Boy, two guys took a shot in Wallace and Knoll, and then all of a sudden he gets cleaned up by a third, and you see it here. I mean, you can't hold this football too long. On 3rd down and long, you know the posse's going to show up. They're coming. They're angry. They haven't been fed in a couple of hours, and they want to eat, and what they want to eat is quarterbacks.
Well, here you go. 4th and 22 might be the last chance, potentially, for Tulsa, the Western champions. And Smith will try to tuck one inside the 20. And he'll do it successfully. However, Kevin Smith, will he come back out and get closer to Barry Sanders? I think you know the answer to that.
Oh, yeah.
In Orlando, game's not over yet, but now this better not be a Dewey defeats Truman situation.
Already crowning the champion, huh?
We still have 4:16 to go.
What if a turnover occurs, an onside kick, it's another score? Hey, well, wait a minute.
They got to get that ball out of Kevin Smith's hands first. And that's the other thing. He doesn't put the ball down, Andre. He doesn't fumble it.
What's amazing is the job that Kevin Smith has done today. You see a nice little hint inside and his ability to get to the corner of the defense for his first touchdown run. That's outside. Now he does it up the gut, right up the middle of the defense, and then outruns everybody in the secondary to his 2nd touchdown. A nice tough run inside for the 3rd one, and then the long jaunt right here. Breaking tackles, and then down the sideline with the speed. He's going to have guys trying to get him down there, grabbing face mask, everything. Hey, that doesn't stop my man Kevin Smith from getting to the end zone for number 4. Amazing day by Kevin Smith.
He could get potentially to 300 yards before they call this a game as we go back and visit with Reese.
Guys, want to check in on the family of networks. Right now on ESPN Classic, we've just tipped off the UConn-Gonzaga game. Huskies hit a 3. They're up 3-0. As soon as you guys are finished with the Conference USA Championship game, we'll move the Zags and the Huskies over to ESPN.
All right, Reese, we'll look forward to that. Here's one of our little startling stats of the day. Rushing yards for Tulsa, 32.
Yeah.
For Kevin Smith, 38 attempts. 276 yards. Again, to be fair to Tulsa, some of that taken away off of sacks.
Well, everybody in the building knows who's getting the football. There's about 8-9 guys in the box every carry now, and he's still doing this.
Well, he's getting some tremendous blocking.
And how about staying in bounds right there, Dave? Smart heads-up football play to keep the clock running, knowing Tulsa can only stop it one time with one timeout. But there are about 8 guys in the box. Kevin Smith, hey, I'm not going to go in that crowded area. I'm going to take it outside, pick up the 1st down, and more importantly, keep the clock running by getting down inbound.
Yep. Kamar Aiken, you saw him 81 finishing off the block. And they're taking Kevin Smith out of the game.
Yeah, and he deserves the standing ovation that he's getting here from the UCF faithful. Well, I tell you, I've seen a lot of running back performances in college football. I don't know if I've seen one quite like the one that Kevin Smith has put on in this football game today.
Whoops, that's going to be a penalty. You're not allowed to do that. Now, the subplot here, next year. Now, this isn't a huge performance. He's going to have one more.
5-yard penalty remains 1st down.
And the whole country will get to watch him in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. So the NFL obviously knows about this guy. George O'Leary, well connected from his days with the Vikings. He's going to start nosing around a little bit. What do you think?
You know, I really don't know. He's saying all the right things that would lead him back to the campus here of UCF. So I don't know. I don't know if I've seen one other than Darren McFadden that I was this impressed with. When you know, everybody knows that you're the weapon, you're the target, we're going to crowd the box and stop you, and he still puts on this type of performance. Certainly he's going to play on Sundays. It's just a matter of when and where.
That's Curtis Francis, who is excited to be in the game. You can tell he's happy just to get a couple of carries.
Tulsa defensively wondering what's going on. You know, we take care of Smith. He kills us one time, and then all of a sudden here comes some fresh legs in Curtis Francis. And wait a minute, we thought we were going to have, you know, a play or two off, but I'm telling you, this is that's an impressive performance. And he just needs a handful of yards now to catch Barry Sanders, a record, Dave, I honestly thought would never, ever come down. I thought once Barry Sanders did the 2,600-yard deal, we would never see another running back even come close to that, and he did it in 11 games, Barry Sanders.
Now, they're going to dump that on Kevin's mother, perhaps, because she's worked pretty hard today.
I think she's going to help. I think she's going to jump over it. She's going to help get Coach O'Leary here.
Think about this. UCF began playing football as a Division III school 28 years ago.
Yeah, it's been impressive. And then, you know, the track back to the head coaching ranks for that gentleman right there, George O'Leary. Sat down with him yesterday. Couldn't have been more impressed with a head coach. Took some time to spend with us and shed some light on this UCF football program. And they have got some things that all the opponents in Conference USA, they better beware, not only the remainder of this year, but next season they are going to be loaded once again.
He was using the field judge as a pick. He's trying to avoid the
field judge is trying
water bath.
Yeah, he's trying to stay dry himself.
He was all over that. There wasn't any way the field judge wanted any part of that deal. For the first time in UCF football history, they are conference champions. What a spectacular day in Orlando for the UCF program. They go on to the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. The final score, UCF's Knights 44, Tulsa 25. Next up on ESPN, the Hartford Hall of Fame Showcase, Gonzaga versus Connecticut. For more on this game, tune into ESPN News for Postgame Extra. For Andre Ware and Aaron Andrews, I'm Dave Lamont. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. We say so long from Orlando, Florida. Now, we'll send you to Sean McDonough in Boston.
Beat the Wildcats. College football final will roll on. More championship games on Championship Saturday. Better pay attention to the nation's leading rusher. Wait till you see what Kevin Smith was able to do for the Golden Knights. And we'll revisit Oklahoma's Big 12 title win. Was it enough to get the Sooners into the national championship game? Suitable for framing and the prize for winning a helmet sticker. No bootleg copies allowed. It is the T-shirt that goes to the winning school. Let's hand out some helmet stickers, fellas.
Well, my first helmet sticker goes to Kevin Smith, the running back from Central Florida. The reason why is he had 248 yards and 4 touchdowns in their Conference USA Championship game over Tulsa with the victory, and he's the nation's leading rusher with 2,448 yards on the season.
And mine goes to Dan Lefebvre, the quarterback for Central Michigan. Rushed for 170 yards, became the second player in the history of the NCAA to rush for 1,000 yards, passed for 3,000 yards same season. The only other guy, Vince Young.
Sometimes it's a moment to get you a helmet sticker. That happens for Jonathan Zenon of LSU. His pick six in the fourth quarter, pick of Eric Ainge, and the go-ahead touchdown against Tennessee helped LSU win the SEC championship and maybe have a chance to win a lot more.
Oh, Joe Clearmont, hail to Pitt, baby. 2.5 tackles for losses, 2 forced fumbles, and the upset victory of West Virginia, holding them to 104 yards, the lowest amount of rushing yards in 6 years for the Mountaineers.
And Luke Lippincott, the running back for Nevada, had over 100 yards, 5 touchdowns, led Nevada to their win today to become bowl eligible.
And how about Audric Adger of Florida International? He had 4 sacks in Florida International's victory over North Texas. Why is that significant? because the Florida International losing streak of 23 consecutive games came to an end. It was the nation's longest. Adger getting the 4 sacks in his final game and the final college game played at the Orange Bowl. We're going to try to sort out all the BCS stuff on the Bowl Selection Special on ESPN Sunday night, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. You say LSU should play for the title against Ohio State.
I suggest it. I don't vote. It's up to the people.
You say Oklahoma.
Oklahoma deserves it.
Wait, a little violent here. Think how violent it's going to be Sunday night.